Quickly into space, Concepcion, blockers in front, and here he goes. KC says TD.
This is 365 Sports.
Final 30 seconds of the quarter, second down throw to the end zone. Douglas. Touchdown, Texas Tech. What a drive.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Sorsby the key, what a cut!
Broken ankles. See ya.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Another first down for Vandy. Pressure off the edge. He steps up, and now he's going to run for the end zone and score. Diego Pavia.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Brown takes another shot. Wide open Koger. Touchdown, South Florida. 63 yards.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And good afternoon on this Tuesday. It is glorious where we are, wherever you are. Hope you're getting the same kind of weather. It's gorgeous, clear skies, blue skies, and a holiday week. And hopefully you have some safe travels and also enjoy your time wherever it may be, whether it's watching a college game or being at a game on Thursday, and high school football, of course, with games this weekend in this state and elsewhere. Now, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. We do appreciate your time. Yesterday, this was going on. We had a lot to get to, so we didn't get to it until today. But the college football playoff discussion, the deadline to meet to decide what's going to be next. Is it going to still remain 12? Is it going to be 16? Is it going to be 86? Whatever the number they come to. These committee meetings, but they have extended the deadline to make a decision on structural changes to January 23rd.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because they don't do anything on time. And then when you have the Big Ten flooding the market or, whatever, with proposals of 24, 28, everybody, we just start the playoffs in August and go and move on. Like they have all these things and you're going to have these fights. And when the two biggest partners have such a different, view of what it should be, where the Big Ten wants 24 now, the SEC wants 16. That's a big gap to cross. And then you've got kind of everybody else caught in the middle in some way, shape, or form. But I wonder if that's really the deadline, or if we're going to get like a February 10th after that. If they can really get it done.
Well, I mean, at some point they have to decide.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point they have to. They tried to make this out to be some hard deadline, and funny how that worked. That deadline got pushed back by a few weeks, so it wasn't that hard of a deadline. But you'll remember when all these things were being proposed over the offseason of like, well, we we got to figure this out. It's right around the corner. And so they've kicked the can a little bit, and that's fine. I'm more worried about this weekend and this year's playoff and how all that shakes out tonight. Care about 27, 28, 29. I'm totally fine if they stay with 12. They can tweak it some more in terms of, like, at this point, you've already done the seeding thing. So what would you do? I mean, I think you could mess with the formulas, the committee, and how you do those types of things. I think we've all kind of reached a stage like we did with the BCS. We were so fed up with it being solely computers that now we're kind of fed up with it being solely committees deciding who deserves to be 10 and 11 and 12. And I think that could always be improved upon and have a little bit of both, a little nice meeting in the middle. But, yeah, it's the number of teams and how that all works that they can't seem to settle on. And we've seen all the different ideas thrown out. The Big Ten, in a month from now, they'll probably have another idea they throw out where everybody gets 6 automatic bursts or something along those lines. It's a 64-team playoff, and everybody's happy because everybody will be involved to some extent. But, there's been a lot of ideas kicked around, and I'm fine where we are. I am intrigued by 16. Anything past that, and I'm not sold on that either. Anything past that, I absolutely want no part of. So we'll see how that all goes. But yeah, it's not the most pressing news at the moment, although it is a big part of how we're going to be watching this game in the future.
I would like to know, if we could know, and I think we know the answer is this: okay, you guys can expand, but we're not going to give you any more money. You could have 16 or 24, but you're not going to get any more. Debate's over.
Yeah, I mean, that's the end of the discussion because this is all about money. More teams, more money, more games, more money, more money. And even the ones that have it want more of it. So it's a reflection of our modern times in a way of the billionaires need more money. In this case, the multimillionaires need more money and can't stop until they have reached an end where there is no more to be had. And so, yeah, if they go to 16, I can guarantee you there will be somebody that goes, if we went to 24, it's like, dude, we just are making $20 million extra or whatever the numbers would be. Be like, yeah, but we can make $40 million extra if we do this. And then if they went to that, a year later, somebody would go, if we went to 32, we could really make this thing pop. So, I mean, that's going to be never ending, I feel like. But, I'm cool with where we are. 16, I tap out after that. I have no interest.
I do think that we've seen, for the most part, that the regular season should count, and it does. But then ask Miami about that. And a lot of it depends on if you win, when you win, what you do after that time. And somebody was bringing this up the other day when they were talking about Miami, and if they don't get in, that's not fair. Notre Dame, they beat them straight up. Eventually, when you play somebody and beat them, head-to-head should not really matter unless that's who you're competing to get in, like Miami and a Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think 16 is the max, and I think we can be fine with 16 as parity continues to grow in college football and maybe not feel like it's so watered down. I do think, here we are in the second year of 12, and I'm watching it now, and it feels like and I know that they worked hard on it, but it does feel like for once they stumbled across, something that was good in the 12-team playoff, and the tweaks I would make to that would be very minor in regards to almost nothing on how you pick the teams, or leave it open for changes as new information becomes available. I would just change, where you have all the games. I'd want more on campuses, but I don't have a whole lot of problems with the 12 feet of the stands, and 16 is fine if we continue to have parity. But after that, there's no way that you can justify that every team should have 4 teams in.
That the entire top 25 should have a shot.
Yeah.
Winning and losing should matter. It should matter.
And that's being affected somewhat, and that's why there are some people who are detractors of it. It's understandable. If you've lost your third game by now, you shouldn't be in any conversation whatsoever. And the old days, you would have been out of it a month ago. So I see both sides of it. I mean, that's how I grew up, was you lost one game and you're like, oh God, our whole season, we can't lose another game the rest of the way. And that was fun in a way, but also there were a lot of seasons where you lost your second game earlier. You're like, our season's over with. Maybe we'll go to a good bowl game, but for our expectations, depending on who you're rooting for, it's who cares, right? If you're not, it's national championship or big New Year's game or bust for some schools. So that element's missing. It's definitely crushed the bowls. I mean, the Poinsettia Bowl and the bowls that aren't really involved, I mean, those have taken huge hits, and you can still get some squeeze out of that as far as some positivity and some fun, but it's kind of few and far between compared to how it was when winning a bowl game was just a great way to end your year, and now it's just not viewed exactly that way anymore. And so many fewer teams win a bowl game at the end of the year because they're getting eliminated in a playoff where you have to lose to have your season end. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a never-ending conversation until they figure it out. And I just think that there's no rush, because I think that there are several leagues like the Big 12 with Brett Yormark, and especially this year the ACC and Jim Phillips, who need to think long and hard about these AQs and really figure out how much they want to gamble, because you're not in charge. You have a little bit of public pressure you can apply, but you see what's being offered out there. And like, you've had some pretty sweet deals that maybe weren't good for the game, but were good for you. And you said, no, we want to do what's best for the game, but just don't let the wolf into the hen house. And Sankey's like, no automatic qualifiers, 12 teams determined by the AP. And then it's like 10 SEC teams, so that's what I worry about, if anything. But I mean, that's all for another day to discuss.
Someone brought up play-in games. That's what they have now. If there's a bye, if anyone has a bye, that whatever the round is prior to that would be considered as a play-in game. The first round games are basically play-in games to continue on.
Yeah, I mean, what Tony Petitti essentially wants to do is make the conference championship weekend an entire play-in weekend for all the 4 qualifiers.
Well, that's what Josh Pates proposed, and a few other people have all come up with those ideas where, like 1's playing 2, but then 3's playing 6, and 4's playing 5, and then those win, and then they get a chance to play into the playoff. And I understand the excitement level of that, and I understand that conference championship games, especially when teams aren't playing every other team, really do take a little bit of a hit. That you are you the Big Ten champ when you didn't play like 3 of the top teams? So I understand the appeal of that. I think that starts to get like a little wonky and pro sportsy for me, but I do think there would be some exciting games. And if next weekend was who's playing, let's say BYU and Texas Tech, and they're both in and they're playing, well, we'd have to figure out the automatic qualifiers, because are they both in?
Well, that's my
thing. In the SEC, in the SEC, they would be. So Georgia and Bama, if they play, they're both in regardless. So that's whatever. But then you'd have Oklahoma playing Ole Miss, and the winner goes to the playoff, and you can see where that'd be exciting.
It's football, though, and you really don't have a lot of time because of the space between games. It's not like basketball where you can play 2 or 3 games in a row.
Remember, we were worried about players playing 15 games, and now we're trying to get them to play 20 to win a national title.
I'll also look. I can fix the bowls for you right now. I can fix the bowls. There's a basketball tournament going on right now that more and more teams are going to want to get involved in. The Big 12 just bought an ownership
Players
stake
tournament.
in it. The Players Era Festival. Bowl games have to run they may not have as much money, obviously, as that thing does, because it's got some huge backing to it. But if college football wants to fix the bowl games, you get essentially 3 bowl games or 2 and then the national championship. And then the other 4, they're just seed everybody through the rankings, and then you get to play a bunch of teams that you wouldn't normally play before and make the bowls go down from there.
Yeah, bowls find an NIL partner. They pay the teams to play in the bowls, and they'll all of a sudden.
That's a given regardless.
But also get rid of the conference affiliations so that, or make it somewhat regional or whatever, so it's not all over the place. But I'd be way more excited if I was, say, a Cincinnati fan, and instead of having to do this, because the bowls have been messed up by this one had a 10-year agreement with the Pac-12. Well, now you could wind up playing Arizona again, and you've already played them during the year because the Pac-12 and Big 12 had this bowl agreement. Then I might get to play, say, I'll just say Auburn. That I wouldn't normally get to play if it's seeded that way.
Yeah, new blood. New bloods. Fans like to see new bloods and new logos. By the way, speaking of that basketball tournament, the Big 12 yesterday went 4-0. Actually, I think Arizona State won a game against UT in another tournament. Iowa State's already beaten Creighton, and KU has just tipped off against Syracuse. So they've had a nice start in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think playoff opinions are like a-holes that everybody has one and they all stink. I think there's some cool ideas. I think there's ideas that it can be tweaked a little bit and be good to great, and that's all for these guys to figure out, and they've been trying to do that. But there's obviously a lot of agendas, and not everybody sees things the same way or sees each other as equals. So it's going to continue to be politics and backroom meetings to try and figure this thing out. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm I mean, I love college football anyways. I don't know if the 12 teams made it better for me or not. I don't know. I'm trying to think about where I was like 3 or 4 years ago. I did not like the 4-team. I didn't enjoy that. But and the team that I root for was involved in it multiple times.
They were involved in it.
But this,
yeah.
I don't have those things. I'm like, yeah, I like this. I liked it. And then there's part of me that goes, I don't like that we're talking about a 3-loss team and them. So there's no perfect way. And for some, it's already jumped the shark. I know I've seen a lot of college football fans that are not nearly as big of fans because of the NIL aspect, but also they don't like the playoff setup or whatever. So, to each their own, but I'm enjoying what we're getting this year. I think the parity, you can walk a fine line where it gets too much to where it's like, well, then nobody's good because they all just beat each other randomly, like in the NFL kind of a situation.
Well, then that's why you would have to go to divisions.
And that's where, you do need to be a little bit careful about it's being so watered down where everybody's just too similar. But you also don't want it to where it's the haves and the have-nothings, and then you're trying to compare them,
If you have 4, you have more exclusivity for the teams that really aren't allowed to be a part of it. You go to 12, at least it's giving some teams a shot.
It's given us a lot of interesting storylines to talk
about. Teams that otherwise would have no shot have a shot now, and 16 maybe. I don't know what it might do. Let me see. Kim Coulter is a sponsor, North Star Funding Partners. 37,000 feet on his way to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Watching and listening to us, that is commitment. All right.
Some nice airplane Wi-Fi there.
Yeah, that's he probably has his own jumbo jet. National championship odds, and then we're going to get to the 4 bangers in the top 25 among ranked teams this week. These are the latest odds as we enter 2 weeks left in the regular season. Well, the next weekend's about conference championships. Ohio State, the heavy favorite. Then you have Indiana, A&M, Georgia. You see it as it all goes down to where Oklahoma. Those are the top 10 favorites. Tech right there at number 6, just between Notre Dame and the Ducks of Oregon.
Ohio State's kind of going wire to wire with this thing. Not quite, obviously, because they didn't start there, but they've been consistently that number 1 team now for a while, and you've had weeks where you argue for an Indiana or an A&M. Those 3 have kind of been locked in there at the top and guaranteed a playoff spot at this point. Georgia, it's an intriguing team. I mean, obviously still very good. They don't blow you away or necessarily stand out as much. I think also just because we're so used to them being like unstoppable, colossal Georgia, that unless they're like blowing everybody out, it's like, oh, Georgia's kind of down. Like, even though they're better than like everybody, but maybe 2 teams. Notre Dame, I think, is a really good team. And that Miami they're just kicking that down the road and seeing what happens this weekend and next weekend to decide whether they're going to make that move with Miami or not. It's very clear that they're trying to not make that decision they have to make
until they have to. Yeah.
Until they have to.
Until it plays itself out.
If Miami goes and gets in the ACC title game and wins the ACC title game, then the gun's to their head and they got to go, damn, head to head.
And look, you can criticize the committee for a great many things, but I think avoiding talking about the possibilities of this lowers the controversy for when they get forced to make it, so that they don't put themselves in a spot where they said one thing, the games dictate out kind of a weird scenario, and then you're like, okay, I didn't think of that.
Well,
and so
one tweak to the playoff they could make is to stop with the nonsense on TV and make it a little bit more of a less like throw the AD out there and have him just say words that don't turn out to be true 2 days later kind of things. But yeah, the Miami thing, they've clearly wanted that to play itself out. Texas Tech, man, I mean, last summer I was saying, hey, all these headlines and these expert opinions and these stories and all these things are great, but you got to go out there and actually walk the walk. And they have, and to their credit, they have done that. They are as good as advertised. And I think that they can get in the playoff and beat a team or 2. I don't think they can win a national title. But you never know. You get in the field and let it rip. And I do think they can at least win a couple games and make it interesting. And who knows? But I wouldn't just bank on that, put my money on them at this moment. But it's great to see them in that field. Oregon, if they can get a little bit healthier, is super dangerous.
They got a coach who I'm not sure who is more mentally at times you could feel like deranged, Lanning or Kirby Smart.
He learned from me. Lanning learned from Kirby Smart in so many ways. So.
Lanning, there was a video out about what he did in the halftime before they went back on the field against USC. He's just great. I love listening to him, but I don't want to be in the same room with him. He scares me.
I did not like the way he singled out Gundy and that whole whole ordeal earlier in the year. Like, I know what he was doing. I just felt like he kind of dug too deep on that.
He did.
And it got like personal and for no reason really. Whereas like, dude, it's like you're beating up on a lowly, just like kicking a homeless person. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude, why are you punching down so much?
He was already down, kicked him in the nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I probably didn't phrase that the best way, but it's like, so why are you punching down on somebody? So I just felt he kind of took that a little bit too far. It wasn't a big deal, but I was just like, he could have held back a little bit there, man. But he's a great coach. Ole Miss, we all await Saturday and whatever we're going to find out Saturday as far as their future. And then great to see Oklahoma. I mean, Alabama's a staple. They have their warts, but they're pretty good. And then Oklahoma, that's that defense and that kicker, Tate Sandell, that's carrying them right now. And Mateer's doing his damnedest. But they've been very impressive. And Venables has done a great job with that football team.
Yeah, because they almost were off the rails early with those losses, and they've especially getting thumped by Texas. But 4 of those teams are not normally involved. All the other ones, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, and Oklahoma. Maybe Indiana, A&M, Tech, Ole Miss are all, and that's 4, right?
Indiana was in it last year.
Yeah, I know, but it's
normally year to year.
Yeah, I think it's what they've done to back up and validate after all the crap that they took or heard or what we heard after they lost that opening game against Notre Dame. They came right back and just validated it. It's good to see. You're going to see those guys year in and year out, a lot of them, about 5 or 6 of them, but it's nice to see some new blood.
What Indiana did was they went and got an NFL quarterback after their CFL quarterback, and you can see how much that's helped in addition to the other
but their
additions
defense got better.
Other additions that they've made. Ohio State has been fascinating to me because I've kind of kept waiting for them to at least get a scare, and they haven't even really had that. Like the way their defense under Matt Patricia just kind of chokes people out is very impressive. Now they have, if they're no fault of their own, their schedule which looked a lot harder week 1, got a little easier because some of the teams didn't live up to snuff. But this week is going to be really interesting considering, and look, it's not terrible, but it just didn't. They didn't have as many super tough games.
But the game with Texas was 14-10.
No, I'm talking about the rest of them.
Okay.
I'm talking about the rest of them.
Okay.
They did play other games after that.
They have a one top 25 game and win since the first game against Texas. It was Illinois, who's at the back end of the polls. Mm-hmm. But besides that, nobody's ranked right now. Yeah.
And when you looked at the preseason rankings, you thought, this might be tough for redshirt freshman quarterback and all those things. And they just
it turns out Penn State sucks and they're going to fire their head coach. Those types of things happen.
So all that, look, Texas is 8-3. That's their best win all year. So I'm not even knocking that. I'm just saying that after that point, the season looked really tough. Maybe it wasn't, but they haven't even had a day where they've
the only game they've had close all year was Texas.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else is a blowout.
Do you think the algorithm would ever have them playing Oregon, a Penn State that should be like they are, and then also, let's say, Michigan and USC? I doubt they'll ever get that algorithm, but even then, they're that good where they, as you said, it's a great choke people out. That's what they do with their defense.
No, they're incredible, and I don't know that the algorithms work that way. I think they try to avoid stacking them too much to spread it out, but it also then results in some years where it feels like you're not playing really anybody. So if Penn State's down, it's Illinois, and that's been about it. There's no Oregon, there's no Indiana, there's not even a Nebraska. It's a bunch of they're getting Rutgers and UCLA in the interim and so I mean that's the large conferences and I think we can all agree whatever your opinions are in the playoff or the meaning of the regular season or just where the state of the game is, and I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I still love it, and like with age I'm going to evolve with it. And look, I've shown on this show that if you cross me a certain way I will turn away and never come back, Dallas Mavericks. So there is a way college football could piss me off. Right now, they haven't reached that point. But I do think that with the expanded conferences, that became such a game of risk where it was you had no choice but to go and gobble up territory or die, basically. And then you sorted all the bodies out afterwards, and you realize, we're going to have some really lopsided scheduling with all these teams in every conference, aren't we? And it's now we've seen the last 2 years, there's going to be some really lopsided scheduling where teams can go weeks and not really play any of the other 5 good teams in their league, and that sucks. I do wish it was more of like every other week you had a bigger matchup. Feels like Oklahoma's had that. Oklahoma feels like they got their draw, but Ohio State in comparison, it didn't turn out to be all that tough.
I've seen a lot of now focus on A&M's schedule. They play the same schedule basically that they played last year, right? I mean, I would think
teams change.
And a lot of times, like LSU is down. Last year, Texas played a schedule that everyone thought was a little bit soft with a couple of teams. You just never know. And then with, like, for example, you get Indiana, then the last couple of years, like, damn, all of a sudden they rise up to be who they are right now.
Well, Texas
Here are
A&M,
the 4 big bangers.
Texas A&M's lucky they played Notre Dame. And that game turned out to be obviously a very controversial, but a big win for them because that's their big marquee. Beyond that, I mean, Mizzou's fine. And then who is there? I mean, LSU's obviously not up to snuff this year and fired Brian Kelly. And that would have been, I think, your other top 25 at the time matchup. So, yeah, I mean, their schedule did not turn out to be like a murderer's row by any means.
And look, I didn't think that they were going to have the same one that like maybe – Oklahoma was going to have or Florida. But I thought, like, when you looked at the beginning of the year, like, oh, Mizzou's going to be good, and they've been good.
LSU.
LSU. South Carolina.
Yep.
Like, their most epic game of the season just completely fell apart this year. And, that South Carolina-Clemson game, which has been great the last couple of years, is now a who gives a damn what happens there.
What's the bigger who gives a damn bowl, that game or Florida State?
It's almost the exact same thing. Clemson's already clinched a bowl game, and South Carolina and Florida both can't go. So really the only stakes between those 2 games is, does Mike Norvell get a 6th win and avoid going 0-3 against the rivals for the second year in a row?
Well, at least that game between Clemson and South Carolina, Cox are involved, right? The Gamecocks. What a disappointing year for them. After all of the hype where people tried to shove them, there was the narrative to shove them into the college football playoff. And then you follow it up with the year that they've had. And what could have made their year, not made up all of it, was when they had A&M down 30-3 and they couldn't finish. Now, here are the 4 bangers for this week. Speaking of, Friday. Actually, I sent you a new one because A&M and Texas play on Friday, Brandon. I sent you an email with a new schedule last night. Georgia Tech in the afternoon on ABC. But just take that down because there's going to be people that don't hear what I'm saying. They're going to go, A&M plays Texas. So you have Georgia Tech Friday at 2:30 on ABC. A&M and Texas down in Austin. First time that A&M has played in Austin, I think, in 15 years. That game's a night game, which could have a monstrous type of rating or viewership. And then Saturday, Ohio State, Michigan speaks for itself. And then Vanderbilt, Tennessee will play in Knoxville at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, some nice games this weekend, although it's a bit of a disappointing rivalry weekend just based on what Craig just mentioned about 2 games that are usually good being total duds or historically have been good at different points. But I think that that A&M Texas game being as big as it ever has for one of the teams, I still don't think even with a win Texas – I think they're still going to be on the outside looking in.
They would need a lot of help.
They need a lot of help. Like, they'd really need the ACC to be a total cluster screw, which it is.
Yeah.
But, like, it'd have to be worse than it even is already for them to get in. And then they'd really need the Big 12 to have one of those teams blow out the other one.
Okay, here are the teams that are probably in front of them outside of the top 12, right? The college football rankings. But remember, among the top 12 does not include an ACC team and also a G6 team. So now Texas was 16 or 17. They need Miami's in front of them. They beat Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt has a chance to be the top 25 team. Then you have Michigan who's in the mix. What if Michigan upsets Ohio State? That's what they've done the last, 2 years ago was not an upset. You've got a lot of teams that really are out of their control. They could beat A&M and still not even snip inside the top 12 or 14. They need help from all directions, as you guys said.
I mean, I know it's not the thing you do on a show like this, but I'll worry about that when they beat A&M on Friday, and then we can have the conversation. I know that's for the internet to have poured over the last couple of weeks and figured out their path to making the playoff. But, yeah, beat A&M, and then we'll talk because that's easier said than done, even though they just did it a year ago on College Station. There was nearly 10 million people watched that a year ago, that first meeting in forever. And I'd imagine it'll be 10 plus this year. Like I think 9.5. I think it'll probably be 10 plus this year because of the playoff ramifications and then also SEC championship ramifications as well. It's going to have a nice little platform there on Friday night. And yeah, I expect there will be a massive audience for that one. So that's the game I'm easily most looking forward to this weekend.
All right.
Would you like some massive breaking news
from
Brett McMurphy?
Yeah.
Oklahoma State's got a coach.
There we go.
Oklahoma State is a coach.
The Smoak is coming out of the Vatican.
Yeah. He will remain where he is through the end of the season, including the playoffs.
Who is it?
It is Eric Morris.
There we go. Good for Oklahoma State. Good for North Texas that they had that kind of run with him. And that might have just put another big old welt in Baylor's fan base because that was a name, obviously, that they were thinking about, too.
Here's how fast Brett got this. 5 minutes ago, he put out his story, or 10 minutes ago, that said that Oklahoma State was focusing on them. He then just tweeted that the deal is signed between Oklahoma State and Eric Morris, and that Morris will remain with the Mean Green to the end of the season, including the playoffs. But this is great news for Oklahoma State. It's a bummer of news for North Texas, but they knew this was going to happen. And I think the second big bummer that's going to probably hit him is Drew Mestemaker.
Yeah,
let me talk about North Texas. Go look at my tweet from Saturday. It's Drew Mestemaker, it's Wyatt Young, it's Caleb Hawkins, it's multiple guys. I mean, you look at their stars. Drew Mestemaker is a redshirt freshman who's already thrown for over 3,000 yards. He's got 20-plus touchdowns and less than 5 interceptions. Wyatt Young is a true sophomore who has over 1,000 yards and over 10 touchdowns, including like 1 or 2 on the ground. And then you've got Caleb Hawkins, who's from Shawnee, Oklahoma, who's a true freshman, over 1,000 yards. And I think he may lead the entire country in touchdowns. I know he has to be leading the entire country in rushing touchdowns because he's got 20 plus of them. That's redshirt freshman, true freshman, and I think the other's a sophomore, and Wyatt Young, I think, is a true sophomore. So, I mean, I would expect those three to all be going with him, and I would expect that those three have also been getting calls from other schools, but it just seems like the package deal is kind of what you get sometimes these days, especially with a quarterback and a quarterback-heavy coach. And so it would only stand to reason that, Oklahoma State's going to have the best quarterback play they've had in several years. That's the first thing you can say without a doubt. It's an incredible hire for them. I think that it's a great hire. You know, initially you had the Zach Robinson talk, and then that turned into Alex Golesh and Eric Morris really being kind of the two focal points here over these last couple of weeks. And we said it, like, if Baylor would have jumped into the pool, then maybe we're not talking about this today, because I think there would at least been some conversations. And we've had Zach Barnett, among others, that indicated, like, hey, Eric Morris would be really, really interested in that Baylor job. But the moment that they said, we're sticking with Aranda, that was when it was like, all right, Oklahoma State, if you want him, I think he's yours. I know Arkansas was kind of being talked about as well, but I don't think they could have made a better hire this cycle than Eric Morris. I think the Cowboys did a great job.
Absolutely. A lot of people lose out, including North Texas, but they're thrilled because this does still put them up where, okay, are they going to go get somebody at least put them in the conversation with the American Conference? But good for Eric Morris. Good for him. Oklahoma State gets their guy. I think they'll be thrilled, and Arkansas's got to go, oh, damn. And Baylor fans who are already mad, you just threw another match in a very, very dry piece of wood.
Well, I mean, you made that choice, and you decided to stick with who you got, so you couldn't sit there and think, if Eric Morris was really who you wanted, you should have jumped in this year. I mean, bottom line. And if you weren't sure, then that's too bad. The timing just didn't work out for you, so they can start their AD search and then go kicking the tires on Jeff Traylor or G.J. Kinney or whoever else they might look at down the line, some names we probably haven't thought of. But, yeah, it seemed inevitable that Eric Morris was going to get that call from somebody this offseason, and Oklahoma State gets their guy. So I'll be curious to hear kind of the talk about how this all came to be when they have their press conference and we learn more from behind the scenes about, did Golesh say anything? Like, how far did that go down? Like, who else did they talk to? But I think that if you're an Oklahoma State fan, you're going to have the best offense that you've had in years. You're going to have, if he can bring along his guys, again, Caleb Hawkins, Shawnee, Oklahoma, true freshman, badass. Wyatt Young, sophomore from Texas, badass. Drew Mestemaker, best quarterback Oklahoma State will have since like pre-Spencer Sanders. I mean, so, yeah, I would be I would be lining up and excited about this, especially after the year they've had. They deserve the last 2 years that they've had. They deserve it, and so I would not be remiss at all if they're just throwing babies in the air in Stillwater, Oklahoma right now, because this is a great hire, in my opinion.
This is great, and one of the things you got to look for if you're Oklahoma State and you are at the bottom of where you've been in a long time. Like, this isn't a middle of the road team right now. This is the worst team in their conference 2 years running. And you have to find somebody who's young, dynamic, and can find and develop people where other people can't. Because even with NIL and even with all that stuff, it is still a tough sell job when you are as bad as Oklahoma State has been the last 2 years, and go through it all. So I think that getting an Eric Morris who can find dudes like Drew Mestamaker and John Mateer and Cam Ward and develop them, that's just quarterbacks. He's good at it all across the board. If he's a talent finder and developer, that's what you need, especially when you're at rock bottom.
So North Texas is still involved in making the playoff.
Yeah.
They're still involved in, first of all, getting and trying to win the American Championship, but they're still involved in that. And this makes sense with him. You can look at other places where a guy has to delay, and what about the playoffs? Oklahoma State will be thrilled. The more that Eric Morris and UNT win, we'll be thrilled with that. Take your time. Oh, another win? Great. Take your time. He can do both and also coaches football.
They don't have to turn around and win the Big 12 next year. They can breathe and let him finish out. And if he goes in there and he beats Texas Tech it beats Georgia in the playoff.
My God.
Of all the teams I could have mentioned, I mentioned Tech. But if he goes and beats Georgia Tech or somebody claims, I don't know. I can't speak right now. They're not going to beat Georgia, so I'm trying to be realistic about this. Who could they feasibly upset in the playoff that would make sense? I don't know. I don't know that they could. But if they make the playoff, that's a hell of an accomplishment.
It could be Oregon. It could be the
ACC. I don't know what the odds are of them actually winning a game, but getting to the playoff is what I'm getting at. That would be an incredible accomplishment and would only shine the light on them brighter, because now they're going to Stillwater, Oklahoma to carry this thing through. So yeah, I think that's a great hire. Congrats, Oklahoma State fans. You have to be thrilled with that.
I was told by one of the biggest insiders of Oklahoma State athletics that it would be the day after the season ended, which would have been this weekend, but they did it early. They pulled the trigger, and they can be happy, would imagine, in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And Denton, man, I hate it.
Yes.
But at the same time, this is part of a program. There's just this, I hate to say pecking order. That's not fair. But this is kind of the way it works. Go find your next Eric Morris.
Here's what I'll tell you. You've got Jared Mosley. He's a damn good athletic director. He found Eric Morris. He'll find somebody else.
They had Grant McCaslin, who went on to play a coach at Tech, who was fantastic too. When we come back, a lot of different awards have released their finalist list. We will have Shahan Jararaja. He'll join us today at 4. John McClain at 5. We'll have our Big 12 MOJO rankings today, since no show tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday, as we get away for the holidays. And this is 365 Sports. The Baylor Alumni Group with Paul Thorpe and with Doug Furch getting ready for the last home game. And also more than that, because they'll already start thinking about looking ahead to what might happen when it comes to tournaments like the NCAA in basketball and more. Here is their schedule, though, coming up on Friday. They will have the tailgate area. They'll start loading it up. And then early on Saturday morning, they will actually start putting together all of what they need for the Saturday pregame as early as 6:30. And then, well, they'll have food, they'll have music, they'll have friends and family and all the other things you want if you're a Baylor fan for the game against Houston. Although, yeah, the mood's not going to be very good, but they'll try to help at least spice it up a little bit with their tailgate just across the pedestrian bridge off the Brazos River in McLean Stadium. The Baylor Alumni kickoff, 11 o'clock kickoff. They'll be there early for you, just outside McLean Stadium.
Batteries Plus has teamed up with the Dallas Cowboys as the team's official battery recycling partner. Batteries Plus doesn't just sell batteries, they recycle them too. Customers can bring in all lithium batteries from power tools, power banks, and small electronics for a chance to win Cowboys tickets, a VIP experience, and more at qualifying locations. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Golfballs.com carries the latest selection of golf balls, clubs, and gear from brands such as Titleist, TaylorMade, and Callaway. Golfballs.com remains the world leader in golf customization. And of course, online at golfballs.com.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
You don't want to miss our best price deals during the Black Friday sales event at Allen Samuels. This month, you can save big on the truck you've been looking for, like the new Rams. Designed to be durable, functional, and stylish, Ram trucks give you that first-class feel. With premium options like luxurious leather trim seating, surround view cameras, and more. Shop our great selection in-store or online today. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
It's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game, poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%.
Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. It's time for our weekly pick'em contest. Shahan Jayaraja, CBS Sports, up in the next segment. Craig Smoak's MOJO rankings after that. Okay, let's put up the records. 34-31, and 3 games over 500. Happy about that. Louisville, right after I made that pick last week, guys, it was just tweet after tweet after tweet of this guy's out, this guy's out, this guy's questionable. And then Miller Moss, it was, oh, well, he could play if they needed him to, but the quarterback they played was one we saw.
You lost ground here again,
yeah,
Paul.
so I lost some ground here.
Dude, I didn't even need to know about Miller Moss could have been healthy. I was still picking against Louisville after watching them against Florida State. Like, that was an ugly game.
They haven't played for us, you mean Miami.
I mean,
Yeah.
Or Clemson.
Clemson. I mean, yeah.
They beat Miami.
Well,
that Clemson game was horrific to watch.
Yeah.
I was on SMU for the beginning on that game.
Yeah,
too.
I thought that like this was going to be one of those games where Louisville bounced back after a rough one, and then everybody's hurt, and I was like, well, I'm screwed there. So,
and not only did they lose, they got blown out.
Yes,
was 38-6 was the final score.
Yeah,
I
they
think.
got absolutely rolled. As soon as I made the pick and we went to break, and I saw that, I was like, well, great, it's too late to change it. Let's roll on with it. So, first up this week, the game, Ohio State and Michigan. I think with Ryan Day winning the title last year, the stress is off his back as far as winning this game and winning this game before all else. I think it's proven to a lot of the people and the naysayers in Columbus that while it still matters tremendously, you can now lose that game and your whole world does not end. So I'm taking the Buckeyes in this one in what will be probably their toughest game of the entire season.
I still wonder about, like, if you lose to Michigan, it like, even though they won it all last year, that's still just that ate at some people.
You wonder what they're going to fire Ryan Day for losing to
I'm
Michigan.
just saying that it's such a hateful rivalry. They hate each other so much because they compete for the same thing. But losing that game will not ruin their season, but there's still going to be this just bitterness. But
because they're your
they hate
biggest
each other,
rival,
yeah.
but it helps when you go win the national title right afterwards.
I
So
think
it makes
that's the only thing that could have made up for losing to Michigan last year.
So in this game now, I mean, you talk about the expanded. I mean, they could lose this game and they're fine. They're totally fine. They're in the playoff no matter what. But yeah, give me Ohio State to win. I just think they're a better team. It is a little bit interesting being in Michigan Stadium, but I just think that Ohio State's better at the biggest spots. I think they're going to be able to kind of create some explosives on offense, and I think just they're a better team overall. So I trust the Buckeyes to handle their business. I'm expecting a tight, tough game as it typically is with Ohio State, Michigan, but I don't get that sense of like Michigan pulling the stunning upset this time around. But who the hell knows? I mean, that's why they roll the ball and they play the game. But I am going to take the Buckeyes.
They're 9-2 Michigan, lost to Oklahoma. There's a playoff team. And they lost to USC, who was trying to become a playoff team. So they've taken care of their business in a very quiet. I'll take the Buckeyes. Their defense is so good. And if they don't beat Michigan, it doesn't ruin their season, but that would be 3 in a row. And that would be just hard for them to fathom, but I'll take the Buckeyes.
Yeah. Look, if Michigan wins the game, I think they're in the Big Ten title game.
I think if Michigan wins the game, then all of a sudden, even though they're in that like 16, 18, whatever, they put themselves in play.
Yeah, they
absolutely put themselves in play.
Do.
Yep.
So next up, we've got Miami and Pitt. I'm taking the Canes here. They've got too much to play for. Although the way Pitt just ate Georgia Tech's lunch last week makes me a little wary of this. But Miami, I'm not trying to use the transitive property here, but Miami and Notre Dame, they played a close game that Miami won. That is a team that is on par talent-wise. Pitt got blown out by Notre Dame. I think Miami has too much speed for them and gets them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Miami as well on the road. And really nice performance by Mason Heinschel and the Panthers last week. Just jumped all over Georgia Tech there early on. And then even when Georgia Tech started to come back and maybe make it a little bit interesting, they found a way to create further separation. Didn't let them ever get really within realistic reach to come back and pull off that upset. So, that was the game we all got wrong. I think probably a lot of people across the country did. I don't know, but I'm assuming so because, that was as much the fact that they won, but the way that they did, it jumped all over them as badly as they did early. And I was like, what was I thinking? It's 28-0. I was like, geez Louise. So, they got a really good young quarterback there. At Pitt and home field, but I think Miami, to your point, is a bit more talented. I think they got a lot to play for. Pitt's got an outside. There's one of those wonky scenarios where they could get in if a bunch of crazy things happen, kind of like Michigan, where I think Michigan would have to beat Ohio State, then Indiana would have to lose, and maybe even another team would have to lose. So it's unrealistic. Whereas with Miami, it's a bit more straightforward. So I think they got plenty to play for. I think they're a talented team, and I think they'll go handle their business on the road.
Miami has won 3 games against top 25 teams. The only other teams that have A&M, Georgia, Oklahoma, and also Vanderbilt. It's a very small list that has had that many wins. against the top 25, 3 or more. A&M, Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, who have 3 or more. I'll take the Canes. So much to play for. They kind of messed the bed, but now right back in an opportunity to get back in the playoff.
Next up, Vandy and Tennessee. I got Vandy, even though this is on the road in Knoxville. I think that Pavia is just – in the quarterback battle, Pavia is better. I think Vandy's just performed a little bit better, more consistent throughout the year. Very close matchup, probably the closest this matchup has ever been between the two teams. I think it'll be a great one, but I think Vandy takes it.
I'm picking Vandy because I need to gain a game, and otherwise it's going to be really boring if me and him have the same picks.
Who's him?
You. Okay. I think I'll go with Vandy, but also for the Diego Pavia factor of like his story has been so Hollywood, it only stands to reason he's going to go to Knoxville for his final regular season game and beat Tennessee. Like that's how this thing has to go for the Hollywood script to keep on keeping on. I think this is just like the perfect moment for it to be the Diego Pavia show and for him to get a bit more spotlight. But Tennessee's a really good team. This ought to be, I never thought for years and years I'd care as much about Vandy, Tennessee as I have like the last couple of years where the Commodores have made this very interesting. And this year, as interesting as ever, with them having an outside shot as well to sneak their way in if things fall a certain way. So, give me Pavia in his last rivalry game and last game of his regular season career.
I'm taking Tennessee. This is one of those rivalries. It's not like a complete, it's one-sided, and they've won like the last 5 or 6. If Pavia and Vanderbilt win this game, will he be in New York City when they announce the finalists to go to New York City for the Heisman? Has he done enough to do that? Is it enough of a storybook?
He had a fantastic game last week that was Heisman-like.
I would be fine with him going if they have like 4 guys they invite, or especially if they have 5 guys they invite. I'd be more than happy to see him. If it was 3, then I think you're kind of pushing it a little bit. But if they go 4, which they have, or 5, which I think they've done that pretty regularly, then I think he should be there. I think he's one of the best players pound for pound in college football. So, I would have no problem with that. And, I'm just looking at this as like the storybook, man. It just stands to reason that he's going to beat Tennessee in his final game.
Tennessee's won 6 in a row, and it's one of those series like KU and Kansas State, no matter what, Tennessee usually wins. But Vanderbilt has had some wins in the last 15 or 18 years.
Okay, next up, A&M and Texas, the Lone Star Showdown here this year in Austin. I'm taking the Aggies it's a bit of a homer pick because of my roots, but I just think that they're better. I think that Texas's offensive line hasn't shown, like even in the win they had last week, hasn't shown me anything that that they can run the ball. And the teams that have had success on A&M have run the ball pretty well, even though nobody's beaten them yet. And to keep Arch Manning upright with Cassius Howell and some of the other guys going to be coming at him. So, I think the Aggies take this. Now, weird rivalry things will probably happen, but I think the Aggies are just the better team out and out all across the board.
The least shocking thing that could happen upset-wise this weekend would be Texas to beat A&M.
Yeah.
Like, that would not be surprising in any way, shape, or form given the history of this rivalry. But I will take A&M because I do think they are the better team top to bottom. Yes, Texas still can't run the ball effectively. Their offensive line's made some tweaks, though, and they've been better about protecting Arch. I think you've seen that play out with his performances of late, where he's player of the week candidate for like the last 2 or 3 games now. I think that they've made some changes that have benefited him. He's also obviously played a lot more, has gotten more comfortable, but give him some time. And he wasn't rated a 5-star based on his last name alone. Like, the guy's got a toolbox full of NFL skills that people clearly see as translating well to college and to the pros. And so when you can't fully unlock that box because you're getting dinged every half a second, then you look like you're not very good. But when you get some time and you can make some of these throws that aren't suddenly like, complaining about his sidearm or whatever, when he got the ability to do it and breathe, wow, look, he looks pretty good, doesn't he? So I think we're starting to see Arch blossom because the offensive line's helping aid him in that a little bit. And then defensively, they're very good. But, A&M, I just think, has been the more impressive and better all-around team. And so I'm going to go with the Aggies. Like, this is their year to check off a lot of boxes. And to me, this is their year to go into Austin, if any, and go beat Texas.
Well, It's a series that's one-sided, but the last time they played in Austin, and Mac Brown's last year, I think, right? 2010, A&M won there. It's been 15 years since they played there. It's just one of those series that no matter what, A&M, you just – like if they were playing anybody else but Texas, you'd think they continue it, although they almost, again, had the disaster against South Carolina. I'm taking the Aggies. I really fought myself on this one. But A&M's defense, although they allow a lot, they don't give up many points, even with South Carolina's 30.5. I'm going to take the Aggies, and I think Elko has them juiced up to win this game.
Yeah, bend but don't break is definitely the Aggies for sure. Plus, they make big plays when they need it. They're kind of a rock star thing where, maybe the middle of the concert's not so good, but the beginning and end usually works. Okay. Finally, Andrew put this, oh my God, number 0 versus number 0.
He has them ranked.
He does have them ranked. But this one at Ben Hill Griffin at the Swamp, I just think I have no reason to think this other than Florida's really bad. The wheels have come even further off after Billy Napier. You watch them play. Like last week, I watched, about a quarter and a half of that game and didn't even look like they were ready to play against Tennessee. It's a team they've owned in the Swamp forever. It's taken Tennessee so long, even being better than Florida a lot of times, to win that game. And if Mike Norvell is ever going to win a game on the road in the Swamp, this one is the second most important he's ever played behind the one in 2023 to keep them in the playoff hunt, which ultimately we know didn't work out. But they better damn win this week in the Swamp.
Yeah, I mean, or this is like hey, let's announce Dave Aranda's sticking around and go get our ass whooped by Arizona, their version of that in Tallahassee, except for way worse because nobody in Waco cares about Arizona or vice versa, whereas in this one, they very much care about the other side. So I'll take Florida State. I think they're a slightly better football team. I don't think either team's good, but at their best they are, and I'm sure we'll get their best efforts from both sides in this one. So I'll take Castellanos and the Noles with the Norvell news to kind of propel them over their rival in the Swamp. But man, this could be very ugly football. A lot of turnovers from both these quarterbacks this year, especially Lagway. But I think the Noles will be able to turn him over a couple times and do enough offensively to get the job done. But I'm expecting a rock fight here between these two football teams.
Yeah, just play the game and go home. Florida will anyway, and then Florida State hopes that if they do win, they get those extra practices. Yay.
The projection I saw today was the Gasparilla Bowl. They're at the Ray J in Tampa.
Dressed like pirates.
Yeah, and then they'll play UConn. So
UConn, you know what?
9-win team.
I still don't believe that they should be in the Big 12 as like a football program. I know they're very good and much better than probably a lot of the teams in the Big 12 right now. Like they could probably go beat half the bottom of the league. I just think you water yourself down, and we've had this conversation before. Basketball, obviously, they're a big lift to you, men's and women's wise. But having said that, I do respect UConn, and I respect what Jim Moore has done there. He's done a great job. They got a really good quarterback there in Fanano, and I think that Skylar Bell is a freaking superstar, and they've done a really good job in stores with that football team, and they've created some excitement. They got people butts in seats up there watching these games now, and my hat's off to him. He's done it. I'm surprised we haven't heard more about him and some of these jobs, but I know he's kind of been around a while at this point. But I'm fine with that because I think him sitting around at UConn and building that thing up is great for all parties.
It'd be great, and they're there, and then again they're not. But he's done a great job, no question. By the way, on that A&M Texas game, but A&M is 16th in the country total defense. UT 39. You wonder how many points are going to be scored in that game. I took the Noles because Paul's he's my other son. I have no idea why. Well, they have something to play for. They have a chance to go to a bowl, and I know that doesn't mean much to Florida State, but it does. It always should. Don't ever take them for granted.
I think it means something to the players that are going to be gone. I think it means something to the guys who love Mike Norvell, and the players seem to love him. I don't know if they're listening to him as much, but the players do like him. I mean, the same with Billy Napier in Florida when he was there. The players played for him. I don't know if the message gets all the way through and they get the best effort, but again, for Mike Norvell individually, this is not the most important game of his life, but if he wants just a little less volume, which it's not going to be much. I mean, it's at 10. If he wants it at an 8, you better win this game.
Yeah, by the way, the Cotton Holdings Lone Star Showdown is the name of that game, the otherwise Lone Star Showdown with A&M in Texas.
We're not calling it that.
No, it's like, what is it, the Bluebonnet Palace game, the TCU and Baylor? What is it? What do they call that?
They want us to call it that. They can sponsor, and then we'll talk about their sponsorship. But no, it's A&M Texas.
Okay, now we'll come back with Shahan Jararaja. Those are the picks. And we'll have Shahan on, and then we'll also have the Big 12 MOJO rankings today with Craig Smoak at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. And this is 365 Sports. And this is, of course, Thanksgiving week. And let's just say, for whatever reason, you've gotten just really, really busy. And I forgot this, I forgot that. And at the last second, you need to go and get what you need for Thanksgiving, whether you're going to have turkey or ham, maybe something else. Sometimes a family might have something completely different than that. But if you need that, Waco Custom Marketplace has it. They're on Lake Air Drive in Waco. The Bauer family's been in the business of meat and produce for a long time. But their store, Waco Custom Marketplace, has cold beer and wine. They have all the marinades and the seasonings. If you need something to inject in the turkey, they have that too. They have the pellet fuel. They have charcoal. They have turkeys, they have hams, and also a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It's the wrap-up the year sales event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive the stunning 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L with 0% financing for 60 months, or take $4,500 in combined bonus cash, plus $1,000 in select inventory cash. And right now, enjoy no payments for 90 days. Just sign and drive into the new year. These deals end soon, so hurry into Allen Samuels in Waco today.
Come by, let's be friends.
You don't want to miss our best price deals during the Black Friday sales event at Allen Samuels. This month, you can save big on the truck you've been looking for, like the new Rams. Designed to be durable, functional, and stylish, Ram trucks give you that first-class feel. With premium options like luxurious leather trim seating, surround view cameras, and more. Shop our great selection in-store or online today. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SPORTS365 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SPORTS365. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
He is Shahan Jararaja, CBS Sports, as we head into the last weekend, the official weekend of the regular season. Obviously, conference championships next week, and a few of the rivalry games like Army-Navy much later into December. Oklahoma State. It has been, Shahan, forever since Mike Gundy was fired. You didn't hear a lot. They just methodically went through this process, and they may have just hired somebody that a lot of teams and programs are going to look back at and go, oh, damn. Your thoughts about the hiring of Eric Morris?
Yeah, I absolutely love the hire. Honestly, the second that Mike Gundy was fired, I thought that Eric Morris would be a perfect fit for a number of reasons. First, I mean, you look at kind of the way that Oklahoma State was built, the way that this team is used to experiencing football. I feel like Eric Morris will be able to bring so much of that back. He, I would argue, is pound for pound the best quarterback developer in all of college football. I'm including Ryan Day. I'm including Lincoln Riley in that. He is up there with the greats. He also is somebody who just schemes up offense at an incredibly high level. You look at some of these scores that North Texas has had against some of these other teams, and look, their schedule this year has obviously not been very difficult, but like the other thing too is that North Texas is not an advantaged team in the American Conference. They've done a great job of creating advantages for themselves. They've done a great job of obviously developing quarterbacks, of creating offense. He made, I think, a really, really good defensive coordinator hire in Skylar Cassidy, who's done just enough. And again, all of these things I think are going to come together in Stillwater in a way that maybe people don't expect. When I look at Eric Morris, I mean, you have to go back. Like I went back and looked. And looking at his coaching career, the last time that Eric Morris was at a school that I would not call disadvantaged in their conference was when he was a grad assistant at Houston back in 2011. He's been at Texas Tech when they were a struggling program. He was at Washington State. He was at Incarnate Word. He was at North Texas. For the first time when he gets to Oklahoma State, he gets to be an advantage coach. And I'm very excited to see what he can do with that.
Everything's a package deal now, too. And I would assume that Drew Mestemaker and some of the other stars go with him there because the NIL money will be increased. And even though, especially Drew Mestemaker could go on the open market and maybe find somebody to pay him sillier money, Eric Morris is the guy who found him and developed him when he was a safety from Vandegrift. So I would say that the Pokes can kind of hit the ground running with a guy who's going to be a redshirt sophomore next year.
Look, and the reality is, right, like obviously Drew Mestemaker is going to make the decision that's best for him, but I'll say this, back a couple years ago, right, at Incarnate Word, Cam Ward was there. He had interest to moving up to the power conference level, and Eric Morris got the offensive coordinator job at Washington State, and he convinced Cam Ward to follow. I mean, Cam Ward could have ended up some other places, maybe in the state of Texas, but there's a level of trust there and understanding of development that, you know what, maybe sticking with this guy is going to be what's best for my career long term. I think that Drew Mestemaker will have that same dynamic. I mean, look, obviously, I don't know everything about Drew Mestemaker's, financial situation and his family's financial situation, but, he obviously, went to Vandegrift. He wasn't necessarily somebody that, in my understanding, that was hurting for a lot of money. So what is the difference between 1.6 million and 1.8 million if you get to work with your, your sort of quarterback developer there? That's the sort of question that certainly is going to be asking themselves. But you mentioned it as well. He's not going to be the only guy, especially on that offense, who will have a chance to move up. Miles Coleman, who is actually a high school teammate of his, also a true sophomore, is somebody who I think would probably be a package deal with Mestemaker, frankly, wherever he goes. But Oklahoma State feels like a likely one. Their running back as well, whose name is Caleb Hawkins, is the kid. 1,000-yard rusher already, 19 touchdowns. He's a true freshman, by the way, from the state of Oklahoma. I imagine that following Eric Morris up there would be a really, really favorable situation for him. So you say all that, and by the way, they're going to have plenty of money to work on the open market as well and bring in some really good values. I mean, again, I mentioned it, but North Texas was one of the less funded programs in the American heading into 2025. Their general manager, Raj Murthy, has done a great job of building a roster. And, again, look, I no guarantee that he's going to follow, no guarantee that any particular staff members are going to follow, but Eric Morris has a great track record of finding smart people to create advantages. I think he's going to do the same at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and another name I'd add there, Wyatt Young, their 1,000-yard receiver, true sophomore. So
298 last week. It's crazy.
Yeah, huge, crazy game last week for Wyatt Young. So yeah, they are loaded with young players. So I think Oklahoma State hit an absolute home run from an excitement standpoint. All right, now to the big decision. Before we talk to the games, what are you thinking we're talking about when it comes to the Ole Miss job come Saturday, whenever an announcement is made one way or the other, Shahan?
Well, I think that everybody around Oxford right now, the way that they're talking, the way that they're acting, they kind of understand that this might be the final hurrah. It's actually kind of interesting that, to go back to Morris for a second, it hasn't been formally announced, but it sounds like it's going to be formally announced. They're letting him coach through conference championship weekend. They're letting him coach through the college football playoff. Now, will that be the case for Lane Kiffin? I don't necessarily know. There's going to be more pressure, certainly, if he does leave to go to a different job. But, I think that right now, if you ask me, I'd lean towards him going away. I mean, there's a lot of confidence at Florida that they're going to land Lane Kiffin. There's a lot of confidence at LSU. Again, if you ask me right now, I would lean LSU, but certainly everything's on the table, especially with a coach like that. So I think that heading into this weekend, we are talking about Lane Kiffin as the next head coach at LSU. But also, if he ended up taking the Atlanta Hawks job, I probably wouldn't be all that surprised.
Well, were you surprised when you received the letter from Dr. Linda Livingstone in your inbox on Friday?
Yeah. I was at my friend's wedding, actually getting ready. I was just about to get into the shower, and then I got that notification across my my phone and was like, oh dear. So I'll say this first, by the way. I think that one of the reasons for the timing of this Eric Morris thing is that I think that staff really would have liked Baylor. I think they really would have liked to be at Baylor. Just talking to people around the industry. So that's one piece of this. So, if Eric Morris works out really well, that's going to make this look like an even worse decision. But look, I don't understand the need and desire to lock yourselves into that at that moment. Like to have that letter come out and then to go and give up 21 straight points in the course of 6 minutes in a football game at Arizona looks awful. This week against Houston, we'll see what happens. But if they lose badly and they miss a bowl game, that looks awful. And that might still be the decision that you come to after 5-7 with 2 blowout, or I guess 3 straight blowout losses to end the year. But at least you're doing it kind of understanding the magnitude of the situation here. I don't understand locking yourselves into that decision 2 weeks ago and sort of openly making that decision 2 weeks ago. Because here's the reality, right? I mean, they cited their reasons, and I think that in a vacuum their reasons make sense. I came on this program a couple weeks ago and said the best case scenario for Baylor is that he wins his last 2 games, goes 7-5, and you can sell bringing him back. Well, this is the opposite to this point. I don't think that you have, this easy ability to keep this great recruiting class together if things look like they're heading in the wrong direction. I don't know exactly what, at this point too, even with Dave Aranda, he can't really answer questions about what he's going to do because the season isn't even over as yet. There's nothing to sell at this point, even if you're going to bring him back. So I think it makes Baylor look like, to some extent, it makes them look like they don't have a lot of money sitting around, which I think is a very dangerous thing in modern college athletics. It makes them look like they don't have a plan. It makes them look like they don't have answers. It makes them look complacent. And I don't think that this is the case, but this is a perception game as much as anything else.
So if you are a team like Baylor who, look, from everything we've heard from around here, if you're a donor, you're not running up to go help right now. As a matter of fact, you think that's your defense against bringing him back again, and will usher him out the door faster. If you are at Wisconsin, at Maryland, and at Florida State, who all made similar decisions, how do you get people to come and run up after you say, like, we've kind of misspent some of the money around this coach, we need a new recruiting department, like all these things. So how do you get them to give you money if you admit that you don't even know how to spend it?
Well, and I'll add to that real quick. Like, this is part of the thing as well, is that this was exactly the pitch that was made 2 years ago, right? Like, you can't sell this decision twice like you tried to do in 2023 when you said we're revamping everything, we're bringing in all these people. A lot of good people, by the way. I think they built a pretty good roster overall. The issue is that the head coach hasn't been able to execute on it. But I do think that it becomes really tough because you're kind of weighing the costs, because there's the cost of firing, there's the cost of hiring a new coach, there's the cost of building a new roster, especially if you lose some of the guys that you have. One thing that I hear a lot in this industry is that it is much cheaper to retain high-end talent than it is to add high-end talent, right? So, I mean, even when you look at a case like, for example, Oklahoma State last year, where they go out and have to build a whole new roster, like that was actually pretty expensive, and they ended up building a bad roster. So I understand that there are more costs involved with firing than there have ever been before. And I think that there's actually a very legitimate case that this is the moment in college football history where coaches are less valuable relatively than they've ever been before, and athletic departments are more valuable because of the infrastructure that they built. We have programs bringing in sort of permanent GMs that are separate from the head coach, things like that. Like, these are things that you can do, certainly, as a university. But you mentioned the idea of donors and making a pitch to them and telling them to come back. Well, like, listen, if I don't have a whole lot of money sitting around, but I had a friend who, like, coincidentally, I'm sure had nothing to do with it, but like an hour after the letter went out, this is just like a normal guy, gets a call from Baylor asking for a donation. He's like, there's no way in hell I'm giving you money right now. And again, it's obviously their job. They have to make the right decision for them. And the other thing too is that, like, obviously they're going to be evaluated, and the administration and all are going to be evaluated on a 10-year timeline, much more than a 1-week timeline. But like you said, it's going to be harder than ever to come back to those same people, because I was even talking to somebody who graduated recently, and it's like, you kind of lost a whole generation of Baylor fans because kids went through for 4 years and never got to see any success. So that's something that's not just going to be a short-term issue, it's a long-term issue.
Shahan, Texas A&M. I mean, there's stakes, I guess, like, technically there's a greater than zero chance that Texas could weasel their way, or not weasel, but it could find their way into the playoff. I don't mean to take a shot there. A&M's secure, but hey, they want to go to the SEC title game and win an SEC championship and have the number 1 seed and all those things. So this is great as is, but there's also all this other baked in stuff. What are you anticipating coming up on Friday in Austin?
Yeah, this is one of the great things, right? Is that there's important stuff to play for, but I don't think anything is more important than being able to establish your will in this game and establish yourselves as the true kings of Texas, because the University of Texas has finally retaken that mantle after so many years with their 2023 conference title, 2024 national semifinals appearance. Well, this is the moment where Texas A&M can fight back, where they can say, we're going to go on the road. We're going to go into your house for the first time since 2010 and have an opportunity to shut you down. People have been talking big talk about their offense because they played well against Arkansas, which, cool. But if Texas A&M comes in there and really has a good performance and shuts them down, by the way, moves to 12-0 for the first time since 1992, plays for a conference championship for the first time since I believe it's 2003 in the Big 12. Like, it's been a very long time since Texas A&M has had a moment and had an opportunity like this. I think there's going to be so many emotions, so much excitement for this game, because same deal for Texas fans, right? Is like, you're obviously not going to be thrilled with a 3-loss season, but if you end it by beating that rival and knocking them off their perch and knocking them out of the SEC title game and knock them out of the buys, like, that is a big thing that will carry over not just this year, but also confidence into next year.
Like, maybe even though Michigan last year took a big step back and they had all that drama of were they going to be on NCAA probation, beating Ohio State at least made it a little bit better despite not being very good.
No, and by the way, do they get Bryce Underwood if they're not coming off of that win? Do they get Justice Haynes if they're not coming off of that win? I mean, there's a lot of ways that a rivalry game can turn the tide. I mean, again, it's just, that's the beauty of this stuff, right? Like, this is the final statement in the regular season that we're going to get from Texas. It's not only what it can do for them this year, it's what it can do for them next year as well. It's what it can do for them as they head into signing day. It's about what they can do heading into the transfer portal. It's about saying, hey, even at the best of the best for Texas A&M, they ain't got us, right? Like, they ain't got us. And I think that is really, in so many ways, the great power of rivalries, the great power of sports, the sort of brilliance of college football in so many ways. So again, it's going to be a huge one. And like, when's the last time that Texas has been able to be the team going against Texas A&M to play spoiler? It is a really rare opportunity, and one that I'm excited to see.
Shahan, what playoff controversy do you expect to see after this week as we go into championship weekend?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, so first of all, I think everybody is going to be very confused when Miami is not the team from the ACC, because they essentially don't have a pathway to making an ACC title game. But when you watch the special, we're going to watch it tonight, and they put Miami up on the graphic because they are the highest ranked team from the ACC. Well, most likely we're getting an SMU versus Virginia ACC title game. So they're not actually necessarily in place. I think that one thing that's going to be real interesting too is, I think I said this last week as well. I'm getting so many 2014 vibes about BYU and Utah.
I was going to ask you,
being those first two teams out. And I think I said it last week, I think the committee thought that TCU was better than Baylor, but Baylor beat them. So how can you possibly move them ahead of them? So they just split the difference and tossed in somebody else. I think that we are at real risk of that happening here, especially again, you kind of look down the stretch. I mean, BYU needs a team in front of them to lose. Like, they just do. They are not in good enough position where they are to have a chance to get in with chalk ahead of them. They need Notre Dame to lose. They need Alabama to lose. They need Oklahoma to lose. One of these teams to have a chance to get in. So I think that right now, if I had to guess, we're going to be sitting at the end of the year and people are going to say, well, the Big 12 only got one in, and they'll have the first two out.
Yeah. The way it's set up, they have a great chance of getting two, but they still need a little bit of help.
So the only way for them, I mean, because if you look at it from a Big 12 fan perspective, then you go okay, if a 2-loss BYU, clearly they just need to beat Tech, and then that's the way to get two of them in, if any. But if they were to lose and your only 2 losses are to Tech, I mean, what kind of message does that send, do you think, of we'd have to be near perfect to have 2, where there's so much more room for error? Is it just, I don't even know what I'm asking here. It's just, it's a frustrating place, I think, for those fans to be in, where it's you just have no room for error, and you look around and you see plenty of room for error elsewhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I feel like BYU is a uniquely interesting team for a couple of reasons.
Yes.
I think that they get a little bit of the sort of recent G5 sort of perspective a little bit. I think that hurts them. They're a team that, just because of their style of play, don't necessarily rate as well in some of these metrics, even though, again, you watch them play games against elite teams and they can hang. I think that hurts them. I think that, again, people just don't recognize how this team is built. I mean, I wonder in some ways, people watched Zach Wilson and those teams go and they think, oh, well, they're supposed to be good at offense. Well, no, this is a defensive program. This is a defensive program that manages games, hangs on to games. And so, I mean, I said last year, this was the team to me that was by far the most underranked in the college football playoff rankings. They finished number 17 despite having an identical record to SMU. Well, again, this year they are also, I think, the most underranked team in the field, because while they might have some really good wins and have some really good performances, well, Notre Dame is beating Pitt by more and beating Syracuse by a lot, and that sort of stuff, again, especially when it comes to these metrics, does, I think, play a big role in how people perceive you.
Shahan, one last question for me, and thank you for your time. What were your thoughts about the emotions of Chris Kleiman after the loss? It was devastating. Whittingham had different emotions, almost like, my God, he was so proud of his team, and so was Kleiman. But, man, there are two different ways to look at it. Broken, and yet again, was he a little soft, or do you love the fact that he was that fiery in a way where he was crying, basically?
Well, it's interesting, right? I mean, I've obviously been in close contact with some, Kansas State fans and people, and like, I don't think that people realize outside of Manhattan how kind of frustrated people are with him specifically, right? Like they feel like, oh, he's like taking a step back. He's not as invested as he was. And again, like, as a coach, you can't really respond to this stuff very often, right? I mean, they're having a miserable season. Nobody's more upset about it than Chris Kleiman is, obviously. They didn't think that it was going to go this way. They bet their future in so many ways on Avery Johnson, but this is how fast things can turn, even when you're considered one of the best coaches in your conference and in the sport. I think that for him, like, he just felt like, we have been so close. We've had so many opportunities. I mean, we think back to that Baylor game where they have a blocked field goal at the end. We think about this game where they're leading very late in the game, have over 500 rushing yards and still don't manage to get it done. Like, Kansas State has been a team that's been on the other side of this for basically, I mean, most of the last 30 years, to be frank, right? Like, they are the ones who make the big plays. They are the ones who make the good decisions. And it just hasn't been that way this year. So I think that for him, he is just really frustrated with kind of this perception that he's not trying hard or that he doesn't care as much as he used to. And I get it. I mean, I think that, I think that there are moments where it's totally fair to be emotional and to come out and say, hey, you know what? Like, I need to stand up. You can't do it all the time, right? You have to have your moments. You have to be a strong leader too. But like, I mean, again, I think that there are moments where it is totally fair for you to come out and say, like, how dare you? Look at what we've done here. Look at what we've tried to do. And we are having a disappointing season, but give us a chance to make it right. Don't lose us.
Thank you, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving, Shahan. Appreciate your time. Enjoy the week. Shahan Jararaja, CBS Sports, with us on many things, including the Eric Morris hire that's official. By the way, Wet Blanket, our resident Oklahoma State fan, he's not the only one. The pulse of Cowboy Nation wanted Morris overwhelmingly, and we got him. Orange power. Good for you and all the Oklahoma State fans that watch us.
Well, Wet Blanket, congratulations. I know you've been riding with us for a while, and we do appreciate the support, and very happy for you and all the Cowboys fans. Think it's an A-plus hire on paper. I think it's going to be a hire that works out as well on the field, and I think there's a lot of excitement to come. I mean, start looking at that North Texas roster. I hate this. I do hate this for North Texas fans. They're like, man, we just lost our coach, and now we got to like defend our roster. But I mean, I've been naming the names the last few weeks: Wyatt Young and Caleb Hawkins and Drew Mestamaker and all these guys. There's a lot of talent there in Denton that he could be bringing with him. And then even if that wasn't the case, I mean, he's still a very good talent evaluator, if not great talent evaluator and identifier. So with the Oklahoma State backing at his disposal now, taking that to a different level, and just the people that got to be chomping at the bit to go pour money into this thing, Oklahoma State's back, baby. Like, I think they're, like, as far as excitement goes, like, this is what you've been slogging through for 2 years now. For 2 years where you can't win a freaking conference game. And then last week, like, the biggest tease possible, up 14-0 on UCF, only to lose again, 17-14. Like, you guys have been through hell and back, and this is a day that you guys deserve to be excited, and I think you got a great coach.
It's a hell of a day for Oklahoma State. Brett McMurphy texted me, said, great hire for my Pokes. Hopefully it works out. He's also working on a doozy of a story about the media survey. There it is. There's Morris signed, Oklahoma State, Brett McMurphy, and on 3 Sports. But he's working on a story. Wait until you see my story tomorrow. Predictions from 80 media members from all walks of life on where Kiffin coaches next year.
Okay, I was worried you're going to like tip off his story there, but that's not too bad of a spoiler.
No, I can't wait to read it.
I mean, I think that's a really interesting approach to take, because I've asked every guest we've had on this week, what do you think is going to happen with Lane Kiffin? It's not even so much that I think that they know. I'm just curious to hear people's opinions on it. I mean, because we all have one, and we've all been following this circus for the last few weeks as this has developed, and we're all intrigued by what's coming on Saturday as far as an announcement goes and the domino effect that will have, because 2 jobs are going to be open regardless. Is it going to be the same 2 jobs that were open prior to Saturday, or is it going to be one of the same ones and then a new one in Ole Miss? And which one of those closes? Is it the one in Gainesville or the one in Baton Rouge? And so, yeah, there's big schools involved and a massive personality in Kiffin. So I mean, this is as juicy of like a carousel. I mean, this is like LeBron's The Decision, to the point where, yeah, kind of like LeBron, he's turning people away who probably were fans of his by doing this whole song and dance. But he's got people invested, and I can't wait to see what the result is.
If he says, I'm going to take my talents to Baton Rouge,
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, he might as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know how I do think it's a little bit rare if you're a team. Now, look, if you're Georgia and hiring your next coach after Kirby Smart retires, you're probably getting your first choice. You know, LSU may or may not get their first choice, but most of the time their first choice winds up. When is Texas? Texas didn't get their first choice when they hired Charlie Strong, and that's the only time that's ever happened to them because they weren't ready for that to happen. But for Oklahoma State, who is, you know, kind of in the middle, even at their, you know, at their normal, not at their best.
No,
but like,
in the middle of what?
Like just of prominence and all that. Like they're to the upper half of that middle, but they're, you know, outside of a couple seasons that Mike Gundy had where they were in contention for the conference, they're kind of in the middle.
They're a top 25 program for about 20 years.
Yeah, but I mean, like they're not always going to get their first choice, right? So to go out and get your first choice is a big deal.
Yeah, that's a great deal. And by the way, I just put up a super chat for Wet Blanket. I did. Congrats, a loyal viewer. Take this $5 super chat and find a long snapper.
Barry Crawford sent us the pokes paddle there. So
there you go.
Barry, I'm sure, is excited as well.
And by the Wet Blanket said, thanks, Craig, for the thoughts about Oklahoma State. Paul, you too, and the 365. He had just gotten off a late night shift, by the way.
Here we go, baby.
Here we go. You got to pound it on the yeah.
Go Pokes.
There you go.
Great hire, Eric Morris. I think there's a lot of jealous people around a certain area in Texas right now. They were hoping they would have a chance, and I think some people probably in Fayetteville, they were hoping they'd have a chance, and
maybe even Waco.
Well, that's the area in Texas that I was referring to, and maybe even Fort Worth to a degree. But no, baby, these things are going to be slapping with that offense next year, and we'll see who all he brings along with him. But a lot of fun times. And definitely a very exciting day for Oklahoma State fans now and moving forward.
You did. They pulled the trigger, got it done. There it is. Eric Morris, former Texas Tech football player who is brilliant at finding the quarterbacks that sometimes have been overlooked for whatever reason.
There was also the connection, and I don't know if we ever even mentioned it, and I wasn't even aware of it until the last couple of days, but Chad Weiberg was at Texas Tech, and that all played into their previous knowledge, obviously, as well there. So Weiberg got his guy, and interested to hear that press conference, I'd assume, next week. Well, no. He'll probably hold off on that, you would think, with the North Texas prep.
Yeah.
Well,
hold off until
if they're in the championship game.
Yeah, if they're in the championship game, which they're in line to be in. So, yeah, they still got a playoff spot to go fight for, but it's a hell of a day to be an Oklahoma State fan, and they deserve it as much as any fan base out there right now.
All right, when we come back, the MOJO rankings in Oklahoma State will be one after today's decision on the Eric Morris hire. At least that's what they should. Well, I'm joking. We can't change it now. This is 365 Sports. And I went by Don Humidor and Coffee Beans earlier today. They're not open on Monday, but last weekend, go to donhumidorwaco.com. I told you about this. Now, some of you said that you were going to go online and buy some cigars or product or whatever accessories from there. I went by there and picked up 6 cigars that I ordered at donhumidorwaco.com. I ordered La Fontana Pacini, a Christoph Christiana. I ordered them, picked them up. I went online, and you can use the code word Smokey, spelled a little bit different, but like Smokey the Bear, Smokey. Use Smokey, Smokey, and get 25% off the entire cart that you put inside of what you're trying to buy. It's right now. I asked Cheyenne, has anyone else used the code word? Hell, I used the code word, got 25% off. You need to do that too. And, of course, they also will have a chance to get that to you, or you go pick it up. It's up to you. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans with a 48-foot walk-in humidor, the best of cigars. Use the code word SMOKEY, SMOKEY, at donhumidorwaco.com.
I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. For details, go to GencoFCU.org.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back into 365 Sports here on our final day of the week for this show. We will be out Wednesday, Thursday for Thanksgiving, obviously, and then Black Friday as well. Back with you on Monday to talk all of the fallout from the final week of the regular season. But we also have, with the final week of the regular season, the final set of regular season with one game to go. We'll have rankings next week, I should say, actually. But I don't know where I was going with that. I was thinking this is the end of the road.
You're not going to do them through the bowl games and stuff.
Not through the bowl games, although we do a post-bowl game one I think we could do, right?
Yeah, I think
because
so.
of just kind of where people are at that point.
Yeah, I think so. I think depending on how long whoever it is goes, yeah.
I had it in my head. Final week of the regular season, final rankings. I'm wrong. I'm so caught up in the giddiness for Oklahoma State fans of this Eric Morris hire. I'm just basking in the glow of this all that my mind's all over the place and also thinking about vacation. But, hey, let's get into these MOJO rankings for this week. This will not be the final set, despite what I just said a second ago. We'll have the final regular season set next week and then probably post-championship, post-bowl ones as well. So starting off, didn't have this news we just had a second ago. And maybe it would have made a slight difference. Maybe I would have finally bumped Oklahoma State out of the number 16 spot. But then again, probably not, because wins still matter, and you have not won a Big 12 game in 2 years. And so Oklahoma State still, man, so close yet so far away. It looked like they finally had that elusive conference win in hand last week, up 14-0 in the first half on UCF. And then here came the Knights, putting up 17 in the second half, including a kick at the end to win the game. and just a kick in the gut. I know one thing, the Zane Flores to potentially Drew Mestemaker, like the comparison that we will have potentially, keyword potentially, I don't know if there's a greater difference that could be had, honestly, than going from potentially Zane Flores to Drew Mestemaker. But either way, even if Mestemaker is not tagging along with his head coach, Eric Morris is going to find a great quarterback, and they're not going to have a problem with quarterback play in Stillwater, Oklahoma for the foreseeable future. They've had plenty of problems with that and seemingly everything else this season. So, look, this has been a long 2-year run of bad, and there are brighter days ahead. So next week, we'll see kind of how it shakes out. But Oklahoma State, pre-Eric Morris news, and even post-Eric Morris news, still the number 16 team based on no wins in Big 12 play. Colorado stays put where they are as well. And look, they got the little bit of a bump with Dion announcing that he was going to be coming back. And I think that's incredible news for that program, for the Big 12. I think it's good for college football as well. But they are just not a very good football team. And he's got a lot of work to do this offseason. You look at just the string of losses, and then last week, Arizona State absolutely pummels them after kind of a slow start. You thought, okay, maybe Colorado makes it interesting, and eventually it's 42-17, and that's all she wrote. So now they, with no bowl game in sight, obviously that's been the case for a little while now, but they head to Manhattan to close this thing on out against a K-State team that I don't know what to expect from them, quite frankly, this weekend with all the emotions running crazy. But Colorado stays pat, UCF stays pat as well, and looked very much for a little while like they would be the number 16 team this week when they were down 14-0, but they salvaged that win. And, maybe you could flip them in Colorado, but Colorado, again, they lost 42-17. So I don't want to credit you for that in some way. And then Baylor, if there was one reaction to last week, is that they probably should have dropped a bit more. And that was before Arizona kicked their head in the second half, thanks to multiple turnovers, no defense whatsoever. And then you have the Linda Livingstone letter on the Friday before the game and just all that came with that. I think from an actual feeling of the fan, they might be 16 right now.
I'm telling you,
could easily
flip them.
You could flip 16 and 13 easy.
Yeah.
Based on the news we just got an hour ago on Eric Morris. By the way, real quick on Colorado, Juju Lewis not going to start this week, going to preserve the red shirt.
Smart.
Smart move on his part. But yeah, I could we have to make the graphics well beforehand.
Yeah.
But I think if you had an hour to come in and that happened at 2:00, you could have told Andrew Baylor is 16th, Oklahoma State's 13th with an arrow up because they just got Eric Morris.
From a pure off the field feeling right now, they're the 16th team in the league.
Yeah.
They're also, though, playing for a bowl game. So wins have to matter.
Yeah.
It still has to matter. So Colorado's out of it. UCF still technically playing for a bowl game. And then you got Oklahoma State, who's obviously been out of it. So Baylor, I dropped them 3 spots. But, yeah, you could make an argument they should be dropped even further with just the way the things are kind of feeling right now.
Remind me later, I have a quote from Robert Allen. We know Robert's an insider, was a huge Cundy guy, about some of the tie-ins at Oklahoma State and North Texas State with Eric Morris and former players. I think you got to flip them. I think that -3, you just take them 3 down below that. I know this was before, but yeah, it's amazing how things can change the emotions.
Yeah, can't change it now. So Baylor at number 13 and still dropping 3 spots. And how bad is it? I've dropped them 3 more spots, and you're going, no, they should be lower still. And I do think that the Eric Morris hire kicks them in the what's even further, because that's a guy you're going to look, if he has success, there's going to be that conversation of, remember when we kept Aranda?
Yep.
And we didn't move on Eric Morris, when we've had multiple people now say that he would have been interested in that job from multiple media outlets.
Yeah, multiple.
Yeah, not even a question about it,
Yeah.
not a rumor, factual, and they didn't make a move. And so we'll see how that plays out for both these sides. But I dinged them 3 spots, and it's still probably not enough, but they are playing Houston for a chance to go to a bowl game this week. On to the next grouping here. And I dropped Baylor, so it bumped a few teams up, just out of necessity, quite frankly. But things aren't exactly going great for Lance Leipold in Kansas. Another 5-win team trying to get into a bowl game this week. Got destroyed last week by Iowa State. They've lost back-to-back road games against Arizona and Iowa State. Okay, those are pretty good teams. Just turn around and get into a bowl game. All right, how do we go about doing that? Go beat Utah at home. So that's what they're looking at this weekend. But they benefit from Baylor's slide and really nothing else because, well, they lost last week by 24 points. So not much mojo going on there. West Virginia, I think theirs is big picture. They're a big picture of recent commitments, young quarterback, no controversy surrounding your head coach. You've been competitive, gave Arizona State a hell of a game, and I just think that things are trending upwards for them, maybe at a slow pace, but you took Arizona State to the end there with a chance to maybe pull off a big upset and fell short of that. But that was after you beat Houston in Houston, you beat Colorado. So just narrowly missing out on 3 consecutive wins. Had they beat Arizona State, they would have been looking at a game against Texas Tech this week regardless, where they'd be trying to get bowl eligible, and that was not going to happen. But at home, maybe crazy things do happen in Morgantown. Texas Tech fans sure hope that's not the case. And I don't think that'll be the case, but they go up a spot. And Kansas State, despite the loss, what a valiant effort against Utah. This is just a bump for Joe Jackson alone and the performance that he put on. And I didn't love when I initially saw the climbing thing. Over the last couple days, I've just let it sit more. And I understand it's just him being emotional. I don't think it's a knock on him. I think it's heavy pressure. And I do think that if this continues on with him being as emotional as he is, I do think we need to go dude, do you need to go to D2? And just coach like college football with a lot less stakes, because this is too heavy for you, I think. I don't know that we're there yet, but I do think that's a conversation that's around the corner if things continue trending this direction.
Or take a break.
Or just take a break.
Figure it out. And, when I said yesterday that was the most Midwestern, emotional breakdown you'll see, that's a common thing for people who grow up in the Midwest. They like to really kind of tamp down those emotions. And then when they come out, they don't even come out really all the way. That's what I saw from him as a guy who's been kind of swallowing a lot. And then, he had a bit of a bubble, a little bit of a volcanic eruption. And then everybody is kind of waiting for the rest of it. And then it just kind of mellows back down. And he is going to have a very difficult offseason trying to retain players that are going to be in demand. All of that's coming up. And that's not going to make the feelings that you have right now any easier to deal with.
No, I don't think so either. So that's something to monitor. But Andrew with that emoji, I just now noticed that you are cold-hearted, man.
You know what?
Andrew's like a freaking serial killer back here, just cold-hearted and emotionless.
The skulls.
God, I just picked up on that.
Baylor's crying. The bear. That's a powerful animal that's crying. Oh,
brutal. So I just wanted to know. I put the rankings together. I did not put the sticker attached to it.
It's like a columnist who writes a great column, and the headlines are written by the editor.
Exactly. He's writing the headlines here. But yeah, there was a lot of emotion obviously going on. And look, there's a lot of K-State fans that hated him crying, and that they felt that was alone. Get him out of here. We're done here. So that conversation will continue. But these teams, they're all in the same place basically. It's just that. With Baylor in particular, they're on such a slide that even others losing, they're benefiting from that slide. And then Cincinnati, talk about slides. I mean, they are on as much of a slide as anybody else right now. And you look at the last 2 years of Scott Satterfield and the starts in the first half of the year and the way they finished things. Now, last year, you got to 5 wins and you just lost out. I think they were 5-1, I believe, and they lost out and missed a bowl game. This year, they got comfortably to 7 wins, and it was never in question. But since they've got the 7 wins, they lost at Utah, which, hey, it's at Utah, but you lost by 31 points. You turn around, you lose to Arizona at home, and then you turn around, you lose to BYU in a game, which I give credit to LJ Martin in particular and BYU, but Cincinnati threw up all over themselves in this game. They made so many self-inflicted mistakes that they gave themselves no chance to win this game and only lose by 12. So they get knocked a couple spots. They've got TCU on the road this week, but at least they're in the postseason. They're staring straight at 4 straight consecutive losses, though, if they're not careful. So there is grouping number 2 there.
Yeah, I think you got it right. I mean, again, there's really only one on this right column here. Only one team that woke up this week feeling happy, and it was Oklahoma State, and that wasn't until an hour ago.
Yeah. No, yeah. It was an hour ago. Literally, they've been number 16 the entire season, I think. Colorado's just, they're not good. UCF's not good. Baylor's a mess all over the place. Kansas is not good right now. West Virginia's looking up. K-State's emotional, and Cincinnati's sliding, whereas they were in Big 12 contention, and now they are very much out of that as we enter the final week. On to the second grouping as we start to round this thing out. Houston drops 4 spots. 4's pretty heavy, but Houston's been kind of dangling with their ranking. They were playing maybe above their heads a little bit early on, got off to that 4-0 start, then lost to Tech, then reeled off 3 more wins. They're 7-1. But over these last 3 weeks, you lost to West Virginia at home. You turn around and you were able to eke out a game in Orlando against UCF 30-27, but then turn around and lose just an ugly game last week at home again to TCU, and now you have Baylor here. So they're 8-3, but I just don't feel like they've had like a good mojo. They lost 2 out of their last 3, barely survived the trip to Orlando. So they have not been playing their best football here as of late, and you can't be ahead of TCU when TCU just beat you last week. So TCU up a couple spots. Iowa State also up a couple spots. If they started to get their mojo back with back-to-back wins, beating TCU in Fort Worth, beating Kansas by 24 points last week after that middle section where Iowa State went from contender to just totally out of it with 4 consecutive losses. They've now rebounded and started to right the ship a little bit. And then Arizona, perhaps the best turnaround in the league this year with where they were just kind of at the back end a year ago, first year in the league, to now they're like, dude, if all things are equal, I'm taking Arizona. I'm just not taking them against like the teams that I think are a step above, like Texas Tech, BYU, or Utah. And then we'll see with Arizona State this week. I think that's a coin flip game and ought to be a hell of a showdown.
Yeah, they're looking at 9-3 right in the face.
Yeah,
they're looking at
10 wins with a bowl game
right in the face with Brent Brennan, and everybody because they didn't have all the parts and they lost some. Obviously, Texas and Washington came for a couple of guys like Takario Davis and the defensive tackle and heck the coach that they went and got and all that. But now that he's had a year to kind of balance out those big losses, even losing Teterow and McMillan,
right,
who's one of the best young players in the NFL right now, too, that shows the guy can coach.
I saw Jason Shear, I think it was, our buddy who covers Arizona, and most Big 12 fans know him. But I saw him make a comment, or he's responding to a comment, maybe it was yesterday, of Noah Fafita is the best quarterback in the Big 12 this year. And you think about that initially, you're like, no, he's not. But look around. Like, who's been all that impressive? And Noah Fafita's been really good. Like, quietly, really good. Not quietly if you've watched Arizona, but he doesn't hurt his team nearly as much as a lot of other guys do around this league. Sorsby and Robertson and Hoover from time to time. Noah Fafita's been very solid. I don't know that I'd say he's the best quarterback in the league, but I don't think he's probably gotten nearly enough attention this year for how solid he's been. So I thought that was a good point brought up by Jason Shear and or whoever he was responding to.
The best passing efficiency is Baron Morton, but Fafita is not that far behind.
No, and Baron Morton's in that conversation as well when he's been able to be out there.
Yep,
so, I think Fafita, I hadn't thought about that, but I was like, you know what? He actually might be one of the best quarterback in the league this year.
Yeah, I mean, Morton's in the top 10, and then there's a chunk of Big 12, all of them together with Sorsby, Daniels, Fafita, and then even a couple of others. Yep.
All right, to the top 4, and this is almost chalk, but Arizona State jumps up a spot. Arizona State with Jeff Sims just keeps on winning games. Now 3 consecutive wins for them. And they are sitting there. They got a sliver of a hope. Like if chaos were to rain down, they could slide their way into Arlington, but it's very unlikely that were to happen. Mm-hmm. And this is a team that's where they are, despite the fact that their quarterback's been gone for a few weeks, that Jordan Tyson was out of the lineup for a few weeks. Like they just kept winning regardless. They lost to Houston in a close game, and they lost to Utah, and they had that bummer of a loss early on in week 2 against Mississippi State in Starkville. But, man, they're just super solid. They're so well coached, and I think Kenny Dillingham is very much a guy we're going to be talking about in the carousel for years to come, no matter how much he loves Tempe, and I hope he stays there. But you'd just be stupid to not kick the tires on him if you're Arkansas, LSU, some of these jobs. So they go up a spot, and 4-5 matchup this week. The top three, self-explanatory. That's kind of been the case for the last couple of weeks. Utah, BYU, and Texas Tech. I don't really need to dive too deep into that. I don't know where Utah would have slipped. It would have depended on how they would have lost that game. Did they rally and then lose close to K-State, or did they get blown out like they looked like they were going to get blown out there a couple of different times in that game? Regardless, they rallied. Kudos to them for that.
I think they dropped 5. They
if
dropped,
they lose.
Yeah.
But Bird Ficklin, dude, I don't know if he can pass on a week-to-week basis at a level to like win a bunch of big games, but he can sure as hell run his way to a bunch of big wins. That dude is
okay. Let's just see what they do with him down the line and how that his position morphs.
Can they keep him in the fold with Dampier back for another year?
Well, if I'm the collective and everything, I'm saying like, listen, Bird, let's go score some points this year, and then get you better as a passer. And then they have him and Dampier, and it's just they can deploy athleticism all the time. So it's going to be tough to retain him, especially since there will be people out there hunting Bird.
I'm sure, yeah.
But if I'm him, I'd stay at least another year and see how it could go, because I think there'll be more momentum on the backside of a second year, especially if he does get in and throw it a little bit more, than it would be to just be like, give me money and go.
Right.
Because I think Utah is going to come back pretty strong in a year.
They've shown they know how to deploy him and make him super effective when they use him.
And you and I, we saw him. We were at that game.
Saw him run over Baylor for like 1 billion yards.
And he's quick and elusive, but also seemed like, I don't know how big he is. I don't know what his height.
He's your average like 6'1"ish, like 2'0", probably 205, maybe something like that.
He can get through a little hole just with his strength and size. But people are loving the number. I mean, listen, we have some great Kansas State fans, but the chat room is just like giving Andrew props on the emoji for K-State.
Look, he deserves the blame if you don't like it. He deserves the credit if you do.
It's hateful. It's absolutely.
So that's how we look at it.
Oh, yeah, it was. I heard them talking about it.
Wait a minute. Who was involved also?
Garrett was also involved.
Garrett's over there sitting quiet.
Yeah, Garrett was also involved, but they were talking about it earlier. I kind of tuned it out because I like to be surprised.
Yeah.
And so, but I do remember them talking about it. So had I been called in court on the emoji case, on the emotional damage it did, the civil case for our K-State fans like Bracket Cat in the chat room, I would have had to say like, I heard them talking about it. So yes, Garrett was involved. So he's, when you
co-conspirator
come to
is what he is. He would get charges of some sort. But I think there are some K-State fans that actually are probably right in line with that as well, because it's definitely not unanimous one way or the other on anything really Chris Kleiman these days, but especially that outburst. But the top three, by the way, we'll see on Drew Mestemaker. Like, don't want to guarantee he goes to Stillwater, although that would be a real coup for them. You know where Bird Ficklin's from? Muskogee, Oklahoma. So just saying. Ain't Lateef also from Oklahoma, or am I thinking of somebody else from Nebraska?
Where's he from, Garrett?
He's from Compton.
Oh, he's from Compton. That's right, because they played
UCLA.
So I'm definitely thinking of Bird Ficklin. I don't know why for some reason thought of Lateef. Yeah, because he played there. They played UCLA. So but Bird Ficklin's from Muskogee. So just saying, there is some talent out there for Oklahoma State to maybe bring back home, but I think he's got a great situation at Utah. And there you go. There's the Mojo rankings for this week.
Well done. If we did them and we could change them, if it was like fluid, like liquid, 13, 14 to 15, and Baylor.
You got to understand, though, Baylor, it's really bad. We're also closer to it than others, but Colorado's won like 2 games. Like you got to win. And I know the mojo is what it is, but there's not a lot of mojo, Dion, your head coach or not, when you're only winning a couple games.
And Baylor didn't play Oklahoma State or Colorado this year, but they did beat UCF.
And they beat the mess out of Oklahoma State, and UCF was lucky to survive that last weekend. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to read you this. Thank you, Craig. Great stuff as we head to the weekend. This is from Robert Allen, and then we come back with John McClain. I asked him, Robert Allen was tight with Mike Gundy. Loved him. Both of them, they had the broadcasting or whatever. I said, send me a couple of sentences. I think this is a good hire. You're bringing in somebody that's familiar with Oklahoma and Texas. He has connections to Oklahoma State. His current defensive coordinator, Skylar Cassidy, is the brother of former Cowboys player and the son of former LSU defensive coordinator Mike Cassidy. His current defensive ends coach is Greg Richmond, a former Oklahoma State player and coach. He has a great record offensively, tied to Dana Holgorsen, which always is popular with Oklahoma State fans. I'm anxious to see how it goes with staff building and recovering the roster. And guess how old he is? He's 40. He's a man. He's 40.
What if that's the first thing he says at his press conference?
That was in the chat room. I got that. I stole that from the chat room. But there we are with Robert Allen.
You know, that was as weird as it was at the time, I think that was one of the best things that Mike Gundy ever did, because I think a lot of people who didn't know who he was knew that, like, man, this guy's going to go to bat for me.
Yeah, yeah. For Robert Reed, who that was for, Bobby Reed, that, if I remember correctly, that was all over Bobby Reed. Then, I mean, you loved him for that. And, it came across kind of wonky. Like, I can't imagine how it would come across in 2025 if a coach did that, because that was in 2005 or whatever that was early on. But, I mean, I looked at that as not something embarrassing, really, but as like, he was fighting for his player, and it's lived in infamy ever since. I mean, that's a clip that's never going to not be a part of college football lore if you grew up in the 2000s. You've come across that meme. I mean, that's one of the college football memes, like, of all time.
No question.
By the way, one thing on Eric Morris, I don't think Littlefield, Texas is actually considered like in the Panhandle, but it's just south of the Panhandle, and the Panhandle is right there next to the state of Oklahoma. So he's familiar with the geography out West Texas, obviously at Tech as well, but he's a Panhandle-ish guy. And so, I don't think he's going to have any trouble navigating what's ahead. I think he checks a lot of boxes, and great day. Like we said a bunch of times already, but great day for Oak State.
Here's the thing. He hasn't been in a position where he has to get 4-star guys and above. Like, that's not been expected of him. I fully expect him to do that.
Dude, when they re-rank the transfer portal guys, like On3 does the transfer portal, like Drew Messamaker, if he were to do it, would be a high 4-star.
Yeah, exactly.
Wyatt Young, Caleb Hawkins. Yeah.
So what he's going to be great for is if he goes and looks at a guy and says, hey, this guy can run, this guy can catch. Let me teach him how to play football. He's going to be one that I'll put a note on, like, oh, this kid from Nowheresville, New Mexico, Eric Morris knows something.
All right. So Paxton in the chat is from Perryton. Perryton is as close to the border of Oklahoma as you could be, at the very tip of the Panhandle. I mean, at the very top edge. Littlefield is still 3 hours away from where Paxton is. And of course, Amarillo in the middle. So that's where it is.
I live down in West Texas. It's never ending, man. It's just never ending. It's hours to everywhere. And so, thanks for chiming in, Paxton. But Eric Morris is quite familiar with the state of Oklahoma and about to be a lot more familiar. So,
all right,
big day.
A lot of things to still get to, and we do appreciate you. Again, we're out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, back on Monday. So much is going to happen between now and then, but we'll be here for that. And we're not done. John McClain is next. Plus, we have the wheel, the top 5. We have the quizzes. We have the poll results, and we have you, and we appreciate you. This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Bob Mock is the owner. 5 locations in Waco, the fastest growing pizza brand in America. Maybe that you're not going to get all hot and bothered and fancy with what you have for Thanksgiving, and you just want to order a pizza. Marco's Pizza is a great place to go and get that. You go online, marcos.com, order online, pick it up, have it delivered, and then more than pizza. They have wings, they have sandwiches, salads, and more. And, of course, it is, as I mentioned, there's a reason why it's the fastest growing pizza brand in America. People like it. They enjoy it. They love to eat it. It's very, very good. Marco's Pizza. Bob Mock, the owner. Marco's Pizza. Marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears!
Have you heard of the new IRA? The new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage, is a solution for high-income individuals and business owners who want to grow and protect their wealth without locking up capital or taking unnecessary risks. If you're an asset manager or a licensed insurance agent looking to provide your clients with guaranteed tax-free retirement income and legacy protection, the new IRA Insured Retirement Advantage is an option you need to know more about and is only available exclusively from North Star Funding Partners. For more information, go to northstarfundingpartners.com and tell them 365 Sports sent you.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions IT success guaranteed.
This is Richard Carr, and it's hard to believe, but 2025 marks our 26th year in the car business. I want to thank you for your support over the last 26 years. As a locally owned business, our customers in Central Texas community are also friends and neighbors. If you haven't been by lately, I invite you to come in and experience our amazing lineup of Buick, GMC, and Cadillac vehicles. Our goal is to make you feel like more than just a customer, but as a valued neighbor. Let us show you why we are people you can count on at Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
That tournament out in Las Vegas, St. John's is beating Baylor up pretty badly right now. That game is 61-44 and still 12 minutes left. Everybody in the Big 12 has won, including earlier today, Iowa State. Kansas is winning, and there are other games to be played. John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist with us, joins us on Tuesdays here on this holiday week. And John with Craig and Paul, David Smoak. John, Oklahoma State just hired Eric Morris. I thought that's who Baylor would target. I think there was a lot of momentum for that. But let's go back, first of all, as an alum, your thoughts about the Dave Aranda, and he has been retained.
Well, I first think it's a huge mistake. I don't think Linda Livingstone needed to announce that when she did. Maybe she's trying to motivate the team. That certainly backfired. Eric Morris is the guy that I wanted because he's got one of the best quarterbacks in the country, Drew Mestemaker, who I'm guessing will go with him. He's got a great freshman running back, and he's got a great receiver. And from what I understand, they're all supposed to go. I watched them play Rice on TV Saturday night, and Mestemaker, he is just something else. But Baylor's got to hire an AD. I understand. If Matt Rhodes had still been there, maybe Aranda would have been fired, and they could have gotten Eric Morris. But one of the advantages of firing your coach early, as we saw with Mike Gundy, you have a chance with your AD and your search committee to scout all the top prospects. I know Eric a little bit. I'm happy for him. I'm bummed to Baylor. Doesn't mean Baylor would have hired him, but I'm trying to think about what next season is going to be like with Aranda after all the disappointment of this season, considering how many offensive players were back, how great Sawyer Robertson was supposed to be, and how it's just all gone down the toilet.
John, I am of the belief that sometimes you have to do things the hard way. and maybe hiring a football coach before an AD, or having an idea who your AD is going to be in a couple of weeks, as opposed to these things sometimes with ADs especially take months and months and months to do. I just feel like Baylor kind of took the easiest path here, even though they were kind of painted into a corner with Mac's situation.
Absolutely, they were painted in a corner with Mac's situation. If that hadn't happened and he was making the decision, I'm assuming Aranda would have been fired. Florida State's done the same thing Baylor's done. You chickened out. And there are a lot of openings. There's going to be more openings, but it's just, I don't know how anybody will be fired up for next season. Maybe they'll beat the Cougars. Houston's trying to go 9-3. They got a really good coach in Willie Prince, whose rebuild is a year ahead of schedule. We thought it would be next year when they were good. They've got one of the top quarterbacks in the country committed to them from Houston, and maybe Baylor will win one for Dave. But the way that defense has been playing, I don't see they can beat anybody. But they did win the first half.
Yes, they were leading at halftime. If that was a stat, they would be good there. John, one more college football thing for you, at least from me. But how much? I know over time covering sports, you're a Baylor guy and all that. But how much is Texas and A&M on your radar coming up on Friday?
And by the way, Craig and Paul and David, I'd like to say to the Sikkim sports writers who covered the Arizona game and wrote about it, I read every story, and all of them picked Baylor to lose. And they, especially Levi, is it Caraway, is that his name?
Yep.
That story he wrote was outstanding. The analysis called Barber, I listened to his video and audio. Those guys did a tremendous job, and I'm sure you guys did too, because really there wasn't any other way to carry it, to paint it. But I got to tell you, of all the A&M and Texas games I've seen since I was a kid, and fell in love with Baylor in 1960 when I was an 8-year-old Cub Scout, and I've watched so many A&M and Texas games. Can't remember when I've been more fired up about one. And after watching the way Arch Manning played in the victory over Arkansas, it's got to give the Longhorn fans a lot of confidence that they might be able to pull the upset. This Aggie team is good. They're well coached. They're good on offense, good on defense. Texas' defense has been awful, giving up 35 points a game over the last 5 games. They don't have a running game, and it's all about Arch Manning, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But Marcel Reed is a great college quarterback who should be in the running for the Heisman Trophy, and I can't wait to see that game. I can imagine what they're scalping tickets for in College Station for all those Aggies that want to go to Austin.
John, the Cowboys charged back and beat the Eagles. They still have a long way to go to make a potential playoff run, but do you see the chances of a team here to maybe ruin their chances at a super high draft pick, but maybe have something to build on if they can kind of keep this group together?
Well, the good thing is this is a talented and deep draft if it stands up to what it looks like for edge rushers, and that's their biggest need to replace Micah Parsons. Now, they're not going to get somebody as high as him unless they were to trade up, but there is an unbelievable amount of depth if you're looking for a pass rusher, and I'm sure that's one of the things they knew was coming when they made that trade with Green Bay. As far as their comeback, I thought they're going to get crushed. It's one of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen the Cowboys have. The defense played better, and if they beat the Chiefs and have a winning record, I think they'll end up making the playoffs as a wild card team because, my goodness, that was impressive. And if you can do that against the defending Super Bowl champions, you can sure do it against the defending Super Bowl losers.
You know, they were down 21-0, and that thing almost got out of hand. And they've made these moves, and some you wonder, but the Quentin Williams things even solidify what they've done already. They got some guys back in the secondary who are healthy. And how about Pickens? a guy that has a reputation of being kind of a diva, which most wide receivers are, and now he's their main guy. Dak has as much a relationship, if not better, than he does with CeeDee Lamb.
Well, CeeDee Lamb was Butterfingers, and Pickens is in the last year of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
And you know his agent has him on his best behavior. I would be very careful about getting Pickens a great contract without a bunch of clauses based on his behavior, because there's a reason the Steelers got rid of him. But he's been great, and he's been a go-to guy. And having both of those guys, if they're going to pay him, more power to them. Can't imagine Pickens is not going to go for the money. But boy, buyer beware. He's been great, but he should have been great his whole career because he flashed it, but he couldn't keep his head on straight.
You know, you look at what it might be if they beat Kansas. And I go, if. Kansas City's not flawless by any means. They struggle to do what they do. Detroit next, they could go through a stretch where they all of a sudden get hot against three teams that there was no way 2 or 3 weeks ago you thought they would win. They could win all three.
Absolutely, there wasn't. They're playing at Detroit, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, they got it. I think they're going to beat. I predicted last week on all my shows when they asked me prediction, the Cowboys going to win. Don't know why I thought so. Just because they were at home, I think they're going to win this one. I'll be surprised if they can beat Detroit. But if they did do what you just said, David, can you imagine?
Oh my goodness!
Just imagine what the Cowboy Nation is going to feel so cocky. But there'd be a reason for it because this team right now is terrific.
John, are the Texans going to see C.J. Stroud again, or are we talking Money Mills for the ride out?
No, Stroud's healthy. He'll be the starter. There's no question. There's some geranium brains down here that think that Mills ought to be the starter because he's gone 3-0 that didn't pay attention to exactly how it happened. He's done what a good backup does. He's done his job. He hadn't turned it over one time on his first series, none since. And there's a reason they keep extending him every year to keep him. He's got one more year left of his contract. No, so he agrees to another extension. But Stroud will be the quarterback. He's got a tall order going into Indy because Indy's desperate. And you want to beat the Colts. The Chiefs just showed you how. The Steelers showed you how. You've got to contain running back Jonathan Taylor and make Daniel Jones beat you. And if they could force Jones to have to pass with their great duo of Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, it could be ugly. But I certainly wouldn't predict them to go to Indy and beat the Colts. It's the first of 2 times. If they beat them, they're going to be one game out of first place, but Jacksonville's going to beat Tennessee, so they would be tied with Indy. And the Texans in the season against the Colts here.
John, one more thing. Back to Dave Aranda, Lyndon Livingstone, et cetera. How many texts or calls or whatever would you say, what was the percentage of people pissed off?
Everybody, some said they understood it because of the AD situation. You can't hire a coach and then an AD. And a lot of them blame Mac Rhodes for putting them in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you understand it, people don't like it. They don't like what they've seen. Don't like they've seen what they've done for the defense. And you can't imagine what the crowds are going to be like next year when you look and see how the crowds have dropped off this year.
By the way, or in 4 days when they host Houston on Saturday morning during the holiday weekend. And Baylor men's basketball down 18 now in the second half against Rick Pitino and St. John's. John, have a great Thanksgiving, sir. We appreciate you.
Same to you guys. Pick 'em Bears.
John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist with us on 365 Sports. So when we come back, can we show the Smokey, the dog, the Tennessee? Do we have that one? This is kind of, they're picking on him. So Smokey, 11, is immediately retiring from the official mascot duties of the University of Tennessee. They announced he had been in training for the past couple of years, but his reserved temperament affected his comfort in public outings.
Yeah, you know what? Just let him be a dog and not, some dogs are show dogs. Some dogs are not show dogs. Just let this nice old buddy here chill.
I just think that it's really a compliment that Smokey would have a reserved temperament.
Yeah, I'm surprised. And when you sent an email saying Smokey's retirement, I was so excited for you.
I know you.
Yeah, I did a double
you.
take for a second too.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's big news. It's big news. But
it's just kind of casual to put something like that in an email. So I was like, no, that can't be that big of a deal.
I would think you would have known.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, I don't know, actually.
Like, you just got up in the morning and decided, this is it. I'm tired of the, tired of the grind.
Wouldn't that be nice to be able to do that if you just wanted to? Just, I'm done. I'm done. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina and the top 5, we'll have the wheel. We will have the poll results, and even before all that, a little bit, the quizzes from Andrew Valade, the Brendan Rowe, Garrett Ross, and Andrew Valade have been a part of making all of it sound and look good. We appreciate them. This is 365 Sports.
What I love most about playing basketball is the competition. I really just like being shifty, mastering hesitation moves, changing direction, building chemistry with new teammates. If you're not having fun while you're playing, there's no point in playing the game. You know what to do. Escape Basics. Pair of Thieves quick dry underwear. It wicks away sweat and helps keep you dry. You looking forward to fishing season?
The game-winning play right here in my hand. The spices dancing on my taste buds. The crispness is unreal. The crunch giving it away to that tender, succulent meat. The magical wood-fired flavor from the Pit Boss. It's like a celebration of barbecue in my mouth. A touchdown of taste. A championship of flavor. It's a symphony of taste and texture. Touchdown! The ultimate game day feast. Only on Pit Boss.
At Prime Putt, we obsessed over every little detail, working with experts to innovate something as simple as a putting mat. We focused on the things that mattered most to golfers, wanting to lower their scores, perfect feedback, developing good form, lifetime durability. Prime Putt is a mat that will perform perfectly and last forever. PrimePutt.com.
A leader within the industry, Respawn fuses more than 75 years of ergonomic expertise with gaming culture to create best-in-class chairs. We believe that comfort and performance should be inclusively designed into every gaming chair we create, which is why we're immersed in the gaming community. Respawn is for every gamer. Our products are for professionals and casual players and everyone in between. We don't just make good-looking gear, we bring experience. Visit respawnproducts.com today and find your chair for the next great adventure.
Revive Superfood Smoothies. Pill, pour, blend, and enjoy. All within the comfort of my own home.
Revive Superfood Smoothies. Peel, blend, and enjoy. Fast and easy, and I'm out the door.
SoftwareDeals.com is here for one reason: to partner with IT professionals and provide them with fantastic software and licensing at ridiculously low prices. We don't have the overhead of a multinational, publicly traded tycoon corporation. We can afford to give those savings to you and your buyers. We know the struggles of small businesses and what it takes to stay afloat in a competitive marketplace.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome to Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Use our promo code 365sports for a discount at checkout. Today, things programs who kept their coaches need to do. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen Baylor, Florida State, Wisconsin, and Maryland all announce that they're keeping their beleaguered head coaches in 2026. So that means that Dave Aranda, Mike Norvell, Luke Fickell, and Mike Loxley all got a lifeline from their universities. And all those situations are slightly different, but they're all the same in this regard. The schools have to decide what they really want to do. So let's start. This is a step-by-step process of what you decide that you need to do. Number 5, decide whether you're all in or not. And I use Linda Livingstone's picture here because she's done a fantastic job at Baylor. But really, if you look at the athletic department performance over the last couple of years, it has to question whether the university is really all in or if they like saying that they are all in supporting it. How much are they really all in and how much do they really care? There is a huge disconnect here at Baylor between the fans and the leadership. There's certainly a disconnect in Tallahassee between the fans and the leadership. And if you listen to what they said at both Wisconsin and Maryland, they both said, well, we're going to support the football program more. Actually, Virginia Tech said this when they fired Brent Pry earlier in the year in order to lure a coach like James Franklin to Blacksburg. They all decided that they were going to pretend like they were all in, but not really be all in. So are you all in with sports or not? Because if you're not going to be, make that decision, let your fans down easy, and move on. Because if you're not really going to spend and do the things it takes to be competitive and do what other schools are doing and hope that no one notices, this is not the time to try and pull that off. You're not going to luck your way into a good season in college football anymore. It's just not going to happen. The money is too everywhere for you not to try to be competitive and do it. And if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. If you can't get the money, you can't get the money. But be honest with your fans and tell them where you are. Number 4, make sure the AD you have is the AD you need. Not the AD you want necessarily. The AD you need. This is Michael Alford, Florida State athletic director. And this one is a little bit more personal to me because as an alum of Florida State, I've seen the things particularly that they've done since the snub in 2023 that has maybe made them a questionable program. Every decision, whether it was suing the ACC and some of the things that came out kind of the way they wanted, were done out of sheer emotion and not maybe stepping back and looking at what can we do to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Blaming the outside and not necessarily looking at the inside to make sure that the outside can't come at you again. It's not really been an internal look. It's been what everyone else has done to you to make you unlucky. Well, that can be true. And in the case of Florida State, look, Jordan Travis broke his leg. They got snubbed in the playoff, and that was not their fault. But how do you make it so that they cannot leave you out and give you an excuse? Well, that means that you have to be committed to doing all the things that everybody else is doing. And are you really doing that? And with these votes of confidence, by retaining a coach, Linda Livingstone here at Baylor, who doesn't have an athletic director right now, Michael Alford, who is a current sitting athletic director, have put their own jobs on the line. So as you move forward into these potentially lame duck seasons in all 4 of these programs, do you have the AD that you want to hire the next coach? You got to look at them first because you've already kind of put the coach on notice. Number 3, hire a GM. This is Jim Nagy. He was the head of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Now he's the GM at Oklahoma. Done a great job. Got Oklahoma in prime position to hold a playoff spot. Things are changing. And if you don't have a GM that's a legit talent evaluator and not somebody you promoted up through your own system, then I think you're doing it wrong. This is one of the things that both Florida State, Wisconsin mentioned about the future of their program. Hire a GM, start evaluating talent differently, put your money into that. Number 2, make sure you have the best assistants. This is Jim Knowles. Look at that glorious white beard that he has there. He is on a lame duck staff at Penn State right now. He's one of the most elite defensive coordinators in the country, and I don't know if Penn State will retain or not with the new coach. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But when a coach like this is in the water and you need to improve, then go get the best assistants that you can get because you've decided your head coach is your head coach, and you need to make sure that you allow him to surround himself with people who make him way more bulletproof than he is, because they are going to be flying in those 4 cities, if not more, when other teams make similar decisions. And number 1, if you aren't paying the buyout, buy players. If you've decided you're not going to pay these massive buyouts, and look, okay, you're going to have to spend the money now or spend the money later. So don't kick the can down the road and make sure that you're competitive. Don't waste your time trying to figure out why this is happening. Go get the players. Now, don't be irresponsible with it. You being irresponsible with your money is how you have $50 million buyouts. But go get the players. When a coach tells you, or a GM, if your GM tells you, these are the guys we need, do everything you can to get them. Well, that's going to do it for this top 5. Happy Thanksgiving. Carnival starts now. Listen to that.
Yeah, we tightened the screws.
Yeah. Smokey and I fixed the wheel yesterday, which is something we don't normally do. Which college football team deserves the 30 for 30 after this year? Ooh. This is a tough question.
My mind immediately went to Baylor because there's the messiest program I could think of at the moment.
Well, you have the Trig Mac Rhodes incident along with Mac Rhodes resigning.
There's beyond that, there hasn't really been a whole heck of a lot of controversy. I think the 30 for 30 should be on why so many dumb players these days in the pros and in college feel like spitting on people is cool.
Yeah.
Had another one of those incidents with Colorado State, player, their quarterback, and another player spitting on a guy right on camera and just following the lead of who was it that kicked that off? And the Cowboys and was it Jalen Carter?
Jalen Carter.
And there's been multiple other guys in the pros and college ranks. Like that's the thing that I can't seem to wrap my head around this year is why spitting on people has suddenly become so cool. And even if you saw Jalen Carter do it, why you thought like, yeah, man, I'll lower myself to that level. So I'm not answering the question, but I don't really have a lot of controversies to grab onto right now.
It's like dropping the damn football as you're crossing the goal line. Yeah, that's stupid. It's just like
it's actually dumber because you're spitting on somebody, and it's just way worse.
That almost should be a felony.
The people who do drop the football before the goal line are just the dumbest people imaginable. Because what are you even doing? How many times do you have to see the play become a low light to just take
it's almost,
maybe I'll just walk another yard into the end zone and everything will be okay, but no, let me tempt fate.
I think it's a look at me moment.
Here's how
it definitely is.
Here's how stupid it is.
Look at how stupid I am is what it is.
So that Chad Power show, that's like the whole driving force of it. Like he's an Oregon quarterback that does that in the national championship game, dropping it over the line. Not a bad show though, I'll tell you. I would say though, I'm going to say TBD. Penn State would be interesting on this a little bit.
Oh, dude, no. Ole Miss and Kiffin.
That's what I was saying. It's like I'm going to hold off because Ole Miss and Kiffin, the Lane Kiffin drama, like the 30 for 30 of this last, let's just say month, would be really, really interesting.
What about just the story? Well, we've seen it and heard it from different angles. They've already been documentaries basically on Tech and how they just came out.
I don't think anybody outside of Tech fans want to watch that, though, honestly. You sit there and watch them pour all these resources in the program and win. You're like, okay. All right.
The Brian Kelly.
Yeah. Wow. That worked, getting all those talented players. It's a great story, but I don't think like if you're doing a 30 for 30 that you're trying to alienate it to just one fan base watches it, and that the Tech fans would be the only ones probably interested in that. Whereas I think with Ole Miss, it's affecting so many others and big fan bases at that's actually, we've talked this out. That is the story, because he's either going to announce like the golden age of Ole Miss football is going to be like sturdy and moving forward, or he's throwing them to the side and he's going to go take one of these other jobs, and then the after effects of that will be really interesting.
The Kiffin thing, because we don't know the ending, and all the backdrop stuff. And again, our good buddy Brett McMurphy on 3 is going to release a story or write a story about 80 different members of national media from throughout the country, different walks of life, and their thoughts about where they think Kiffin will end up after this week. And they play, of course, Mississippi State. What is it, on Friday?
Friday.
In the Egg Bowl. Jeff Lebby and Lane Kiffin. All right, Paul, we go now to this. It's time for quizzes.
Okay, in the trivia today, in 1943, 2 NFL teams temporarily merged due to player shortages during World War II. What was the team's unofficial name? Oh, I know this one. The Lambs, the Steagles, the Packskins. That one is really unfortunate. And the Giant Bears.
That sounds like a box of condoms.
It is the Steagles. The Steelers and Eagles.
That reminds me of the Rangers, that Peagle mascot they put. It's like the Griffin from the city of Dallas and or whatever. The Eagle. Was it the Phoenix and the Eagle or something like that? Yeah. That's what Steagles reminds me of.
Yeah, but it is the Steagles. Ring the bell.
There you go, Paul. You nailed it.
Yeah. During the 1943 NFL season, the Steelers and Eagles combined temporarily because both teams lost many players to military service in World War II. Fans quickly dubbed the merged team the Steagles, a portmanteau of the two franchises' names. Through the NFL, although the NFL officially called them the Phil Pitt Combine, despite the unusual circumstances, the team finished the season 5-4-1.
Good for them. They had a winning season like my senior year in high school at 5-4-1.
The Phil Pitt Combine, the same people who came up with that came up with the Blue Bonnet Battle or whatever the hell lame-ass name that was for TCU and Baylor a couple of years ago.
Which nobody uses.
No, it's the Rivalry.
99 votes, 59% got it right. All right, Paul, well done.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm happy I knew that. Which NFL franchise established the league's first annual Thanksgiving Day game tradition?
I'm going to say I know Cowboys have owned it really forever. That was a Tex Schramm deal. I want to think it's Detroit.
I think it is Detroit because they've been around longer.
I think it better be them because why else are they on my TV every Thanksgiving? Because they haven't deserved it until about the last 3 years. So, yeah, that seems like it would make some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bang.
there we go.
There we go.
And I did not know it started back in 1934.
With the Lions, after relocating under owner G.A. Richards, hosted the Chicago Bears on Thanksgiving, drawing over 26,000 fans. The tradition expanded with Dallas joining in 1966, best record of 34-22-1, while the Bears and Packers became regulars. Today, Detroit tailgates and the Cowboys Red Kettle kickoff make Thanksgiving football a major annual event.
Jerry was saying something about that earlier today on 105.3 The Fan. He was like, we're going to be seen. And of course, there is an expectation. There could be 50 million audience Thursday with it being Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City, and the Cowboys.
I believe they just came out a second ago. They got 28 for Eagles Cowboys.
On a Sunday.
28 million for that regular slot. And yeah, I would think that game is as big of a matchup as you could possibly put together. The only thing that could make it bigger would be if KC was rolling in with a bit more momentum, I suppose, but they're still very much in the mix. And then Dallas obviously is turning a corner, at least looking like they could be with this defense now. So, yeah, that's going to be a massive ratings draw. I would think probably the highest regular season game of the year. I can't imagine we would top that.
I think it'll be the highest regular season game of all time.
Wow, you think so? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it's not going to it's going to have playoff numbers to it because of it's the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, it's captive viewing, and it's Mahomes. And who knows if Taylor Swift is going to come on down.
We had a good conversation going until you brought that
up. The highest rated regular season, and this is AI, so there's a 70-30 chance that it's right, but 2022, because there's times where I go, like, I know the answer, and I know that this is wrong what you're telling me, AI, but 2022 Cowboys-Giants drew 42.1 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would think that this has got a great shot of beating that.
Do you think AI is better than A1 as a knowledgeable source?
Sure.
Yes, I do, because A1 is steak sauce.
All right, so there we are. I think that I saw some notes. Could be 42 is the highest, 50 million maybe on Thursday.
Yeah, it would not be surprising me if they hit 50.
Now, knowing Jerry, he'll ask Taylor Swift to make sure she's there.
He'll sit her in his suite.
Tell the Swifties.
Let her clap for the Chiefs. He didn't care.
So there we are. Now, if the lane train leaves Ole Miss, where will it stop in 2026? I think LSU is the obvious answer, if it does.
Yeah, I would bet on LSU as well. It just seems there's a lot more smoke over there. And we didn't even touch on this week, LSU putting up that lucrative, just insane contract offer days away from trying to pinch every penny from Brian Kelly they possibly could. So I saw a lot of LSU fans like, we do have money. And then I saw a lot of fans going, would you take it from the hospital again? And then,
my.
And so there was that back and forth. But yeah, I mean, it does make you look like you're sitting here trying to not give a guy his money. Meanwhile, you're giving this insane contract to the next guy. It's just, it just means more is what that means.
Louisiana politics is never been really all that clean. I mean,
coherent, clean, whatever.
No, it's just not. And every state has their things, but when you really get down to if there was the Olympics of political corruption at the state level,
they won a lot of golds.
Louisiana would have won a lot of golds, and you'd be scared of like, oh, hey, who's stealing? Like, who wins the steal from the Children's Hospital Fund this year? We're like, well, Craig, Louisiana always good at it.
Yeah, I mean, that just was your fan banter that you knew was coming from the Florida side and from those who don't want to see Lane Kiffin go there. So rehashing that story and everybody getting into the mud over this Lane Kiffin thing. So that's what stood out to me. And yeah, if I had to guess, I would think it's that top money talent right there at LSU. I mean, I think he'll have some of that as well in Gainesville, but it just seems like there's a lot more smoke. And there's a part of me that feels like he just stays at Ole Miss. Like I don't think any of us really know, and we're all going to find out on Saturday.
Yeah, Florida fans need to back up there because most of the city of Miami is built on sand that would not pass most inspections. So let's back up on the pot calling the kettle black. Next poll question: which dish earns MVP status at the Thanksgiving table? Stuffing and dressing, the winner.
Wow.
Turkey coming in second, mashed potatoes third, and mac and cheese bringing up the rear.
Wait, is mac and cheese even in the picture?
Yeah.
I mean, is it more than green bean salad or even the rolls or whatever? The mac and cheese?
For a lot of people,
yeah, I guess so. Okay.
Not for you apparently, but yeah, for a lot of people, it is a side dish. But yeah, there's other side dishes, but I think Andrew's kind of limited here in being able to do everything. So yeah, you could do like cranberry sauce.
Now that's another one. Yeah,
whatever.
Pumpkin pie,
sweet potatoes,
pecan pie.
You can do rolls or cornbread or whatever. But of these four that we have, the number one choice is actually my least favorite because I'm a simple, plain eater of a person. So I would say, man, I really love mashed potatoes and gravy, but I think I'd go turkey, and then I'd go mashed potatoes and gravy, mac and cheese, and then stuffing dressing.
Yeah. I think that this maybe goes in order of, because you can have turkey, like this is the only time of year dressing is not like a normal side dish,
right?
Like you can go to a restaurant and get mashed potatoes or macaroni and cheese 365 days a year. But very rarely do you go into a place and like, hey, do you guys want some stuffing?
Yeah.
Well, and turkey stuffing at
Exactly,
that.
Yeah. And Craig, your mother makes a great stuffing dressing inside the turkey. It's really good.
By the way, I saved a recipe I need to send to you as crawfish stuffing.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love it.
Garrett, I bet is be interested.
I haven't made it yet, but yes, crawfish stuffing is something.
I've tried to give Garrett my 14-pound turkey, but he doesn't want it. I don't understand that. I don't. I just don't want to have to deal with it.
I think you should
make
it for yourself and then eat it like Joey Tribbiani.
Yeah.
On Friends.
I tell you what I love the best about Thanksgiving's the day after with turkey sandwiches. Mayonnaise
and the day after, and the day after, and the day after.
There have been times I've made 4 and got onto a road to go cover a football game. All right. There we are with that. 37% the stuffing and the dressing. One super chat we didn't get to. Kim, he's on his way to Hawaii. Smokey, please tell Paul American Airlines new Wi-Fi works over the ocean.
Whoa.
There we go.
Okay.
You spelled my name wrong, but Smoak is okay too.
Well, I mean, it doesn't spell check, but that's fine. It's I knew what he meant. And, hey, I'm always open to be bribed by an airline.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, before we go, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Congrats again to Oklahoma State fans on the big news today. I'm sure you're going to be taking a lot of this break, absorbing every article about Eric Morris and all of that. But, yeah, appreciate everybody out there and give thanks to the audience. And we're getting very close to 70K. So if you haven't subscribed, then please do us that favor so we can just be here doing this with you guys every day. And hit that like button. That goes a long way, too. And that's all we ask, but we give thanks to the audience and hope you guys have a great break. And we'll be talking about Lane Kiffin somewhere on Monday and the last of the regular season and all that. I can't wait, but it'll be nice to get a little bit of a break.
We will have a lot of evidence.
Bold prediction: Boston College out of nowhere comes and gets him.
Yeah.
Brandon,
they're probably going to be looking for a head coach here pretty soon, the way things are going right now with Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
Cheese grits is one of the ones that somebody brought up.
I like cheese grits.
A lot were mac and cheese, scalloped potatoes. I love those too. Rhubarb pie, etc. A lot of you. Thank you for your feedback. All right, Brandon Rowe, you and I need a break from each other. We're on the rocks. Garrett Ross, thank you. You've been here all day. And, of course, Andrew Valade, we appreciate the King Jiu-Jitsu for all that he does. And you, our audience, however you digest what we do and then what you digest on Thanksgiving, all the evidence of college football will be back Monday. Craig, enjoy Thanksgiving. Paul, enjoy Thanksgiving. I'll enjoy Thanksgiving. Good night, 365 Sports.